So, let's do some slightly wobbly reminders from last campaign.
Cult stuff.
Yeah, you would want to do cult stuff. Wait, did we have a session number 25? Those reminders for session number 25. Oh, those were the reminders from session 25. So, your reminders from last campaign then, gents. Kuzco wants to be nice.
What?
Slave knights have been acquired. I believe we'd named them the Knights of Slough. And you were rotating expendable army personnel into them in order to minimize the risk of them getting mind-controlled and going rogue. Coatlmox wants to try and keep his cult in his control. Coatlmox wants to keep tabs on Magus Adjutant Drelora Favelnim. Your new Magus Adjutant, new and improved, and very happy and willing to be perfectly compliant with all your assorted requests.
Yeah, worryingly compliant.
the unmelted one, yeah.
Exactly. Retrain naval tactics to focus on the giant gun and overwhelming boarding actions.
Giant gun!
That's now completely latched to the Obsidian Heart, isn't it?
Yes, I haven't actually redone the cartography thing for it yet, but I will be doing it for next week. Retrain naval Oh no, we've just done that one. Name the next two... this is a Carl one. Name the next two ships, the Bag of Weasels and the Drunk Bumblebee.
Oh, yeah.
Great ship names.
Very, very reminiscent of the Aztecs.
Joining the Rainbow Ocelots and the Obsidian Heart.
They're not dick jokes, at least.
They're not dick jokes, that's very true. Actually, it's a really good point. Ollie, you of all people, I'm sorry, I usually want you, I would take the support, but you do not get to dunk on people for poor ship names.
Shut up, shut up, shut up.
And finally, and Ollie related, Maccy wants to become captain at any cost.
Haven't you forgotten one?
Nothing on the list.
What about, what is it?
I see where this is going.
What's it called? Requisitioning the Astropath from Gaza.
No, I've not. If you'll recall,
in the wanker's corner. Put him in the wanker's corner.
No, if you'll recall correctly, we dealt with this last session, and in the end of the campaign, you received word that the Astropath at Gazva had a crippling heart attack. Their heart more or less exploded, and they were now dead.
No, this is the first I'm hearing of this.
No, it's not. You reacted with outrage at the time. I just re-listened to the last session. Your, for the record, immediate proposal was to immediately switch to saying, there's an Astropath at Ferdinandia, let's requisition that guy from there instead.
Okay, there, nice. We're there instead.
Whereupon the rest of the command crew said, no, we can't just cripple every area we pass through by taking their lines of communication.
We don't take everyone.
We do it in other ways.
This one.
This is a vital leg of the...
Wow, if there aren't any other Astropaths around, then what use is he?
Classic. It's just classic, our Legion activities. Go through, save the day, and then we make sure they can never contact the Imperium in case they need help again. And they
exactly. No one would ever know that. Like,
no complaints.
We did such a good job there. No one ever fucked with it again.
There is also the slight concern that requisitioning the Astropath from every world you move through does sound a little bit like you're trying to pull a runner and rush off into deep space whilst preventing anyone from sending word home. Just putting that out there.
We're not a traitor legion, I swear.
No such thing as the traitor legion.
Now, why would you say that? Why would you bring that up, Carl?
To be ahead of the curve.
Those are the last of your reminders. That said, we are now into a 14-year gap, which will culminate in a single
filled with cult activity,
dramatic campaign. Yeah, Creed, do you
want the shortest version of my cult?
Do you want to give me a short version? Let's hear how it's going, or what you want to do.
Basically, I'm going to make a ludicrous amount of subcults, the vast majority of which are a distraction for two subcults I actually want to run. One of them with the purpose of observing the cult activity from the inside, so I can see what the Magos is up to with her cult involvement. And the other to just be a new private forge shrine of mine hidden somewhere else in the vents. So I have more places to tinker unseen.
Excellent, outstanding. Cults within cults. What could possibly go wrong?
Yes.
Nothing's ever gone wrong when you create your own secret police.
Oh, and during the 14 years, I would have wanted to do research on that Blackstone, mainly seeing if I can alloy it into a metal or some sort of sleeve.
You planning on fighting me?
I'd just like to protect my helmet with Blackstone and maybe get some of it on a sword.
And on that note, I think within these 14 years, it's definitely going to be brought to light that there are psychers within some of the other Space Marine legions. So it is at your
Hey guys!
It's at your discretion there, Nazeem. Fuck the purse back. If you wish to reveal yourself as a psyker, or if you want to keep holding on to, I'm just the ship's psychiatrist, it's fine.
Will we all kind of know, though, anyway, based on the reports of other...
I feel it's going to be like walk into the dining room and go, guys, I'm a psyker! Everyone can turn around and goes, yeah, okay.
You don't fling lightning bolts or anything, though, do you, as I recall? Like, most of your shit is empathic. At least
There's a fair few legions where there's really not that many anyway.
Yeah.
The Iron 10th has basically none.
And you can... So, cat, don't make that noise. So you can definitely get away with, if you want to keep hiding for a bit longer, I have an emergency fallback plan for if you want to keep hiding, I will eventually bring it in narratively. You have the option.
I don't think many of them have that many yet.
But also, yeah, I'm just saying they've occurred and it's been, like, not necessarily confirmed, it's probably even still officially denied, but you'd know that at least a couple of them on the sort of the astropathic rumours circuit.
Yeah. If it's like, it's to the point where I was like, if it's found out, I'm not going to get executed. It's all good.
Yeah, and the legions are far enough away anyway that the person who'd have to do the executing would be beloved Captain Coayah.
Oh no, he might actually kill me.
Captain Coayah?
No.
Captain
I
Coayah
will
loves
not.
you.
I would not kill you. I would not kill you for being a psyker. I have told you this all along, your Nicholas. I will only kill you if what you are getting up to vis-a-vis murdering loads of people and eating their brain, alongside eating the brains of various Xenos races to gain their illicit information on unnatural powers, was discovered.
He also smuggled that face onto the ship and is
Also
keeping
that-
it in a secret location.
Yeah,
Wait,
if that
did
ever...
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
he did.
Yeah,
Like,
he
the
did.
first one is enough to get you tried and potentially shot. The second one is enough for me to just kill you on the spot.
The second one is, for the
That's
record,
fair enough.
potentially enough for you all to get killed on the spot by the Custodes and then quietly hushed up as a work accident.
Wait,
I think
what-
maybe the only one of us who might survive would be me, and that's only because I've got him as a specific and that's a maybe. He might not kill me.
Oh,
He probably would still kill me.
That said, that is still thoroughly well hidden at the moment. It takes effort. Sorry?
What was the thing that Nick smuggled on board?
Oh, you remember when he was on
The demon
Xenos-
face.
He was on the Xenos ship and he was hearing voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took those voices with him.
He
and they were on fire.
he took some goop from its sort of weird possession form, and he doesn't, the face doesn't form and he can't just speak to it, but with sufficient effort and focused power test, as long as he's standing over the weird ritual bowl he's got it in, he can make psychic contact with it and get, hints and tips.
Yeah.
Is
Why
where
do you
it's at
feel-
for the moment.
For the moment.
Yeah.
So, would it be easier to, or if I revealed myself, it's then this is official, so I can, I'm moving this stuff around and it's okay. And then in the background, I'm still doing sneaky bullshit, but it's going to be easier to hide sneaky bullshit because I'm doing other bullshit.
You should have got into the Layers of Cults game, man. I've got secret offices everywhere.
I don't know where to put them because it's just me.
Just
And
stay on the vents, you'll find a lot of secret offices in the
I feel
vents.
like Cread is somewhat turning into a terrorist organisation because he's got a cell structure going now, basically. If you have thousands of subcults that don't know what's going on,
Just to keep on track for a moment, I think it's kind of up to you to an extent, young Nicholas. It's how you think the public portrayal is likely, although the public response is likely to be. in response to how you act and how good you are at keeping these things secret. Because at the moment, you're actually, not only are you under no secrecy, but the only people who are even vaguely in on it are, at last check, Coayah kind of suspects you're vaguely up to something, but is deliberately not paying attention, because you've actually been a pretty good ally to him, and so he's just not putting his nose in on the basis that how bad can it possibly be? And also, he has recently committed murder and seems to be like slowly breaking under the pressure of no one matching up to his pretty reasonable standards.
That's a point. How many years have passed since Barras?
Since Barras. Since Barras. Yes, sorry.
So have we done a time skip?
So we're in the middle of a time skip. This is like a flexible 14-year period, which is going to culminate in a particular campaign. So you can be basically anywhere within that 14-year period. We're going to skip around a little bit. So we're going to do
what I was going to say, if we were just going to do a straight time skip, what I was going to do was I was going to say, right, for every 5 years of that time skip, can I roll 1d5 and gain that many insanity points?
You know what?
Before it starts to break under the pressure.
With a statutory reminder that at 100 insanity points, you become completely insane and removed from play.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to say. You can roll a d3 per 5 years, but go ahead and we'll round up. So give us a d3 in order. So let's get a little bit of tension, a little bit of drum roll going. How's Coayah do in the wake of Badass for the first time? Thank you, Cread. Appreciate it.
In the wake of Barras, he did quite. I mean, everything went okay. So yeah, he only gained one.
Okay, yeah, one insanity point. Oh, really? It's just the murders being murdery, and the fact that you hear this has become a fairly formalized organization in a number of the other grand companies, and you're just kind of. Doesn't anyone around here care for professionalism and honor? And see how the 5 years after.
I mean, they're effective, but equally, don't set up a thing making more of them. Just try and kill off as many as you can through brutal boarding actions, and maybe the problem will go away.
The only thing really keeping you strong at this point is the fact that there are other Grand Captains contacting you as, the Grand Captain of the second Grand Company puts you in a pretty senior position in the Legion. You're one of, the lower ranks of the upper tier, technically, and therefore a lot of people look up to you as hey, you're all these batshit people in my Grand Company. How do I stop it? And that gives you some level of hope. Let's do the next 5 years. Give me a D3.
It's ominous.
Oh, it doesn't go as well.
It does not go as well. Not as a couple of those very same captains crack under the pressure.
You get towards the end of the year, it's going okay, and I walk past with a hands full of jelly. I'm like, it's nothing, honestly. It's what's going on?
Yeah,
It's fine. There's no problem.
It's just jelly. It's just jelly.
On that subject, actually, let's just stop in for a minute and see how you're dealing with the ship, with the Obsidian Heart itself. Because I have some notes on this, and I would like to hear from Mr. Coatlmox Ical. If you could give me, what do you feel like rolling for your cult? Now, you've done a fair amount of planning for this for quite a long time, so I'm gonna give you a bonus on it. So we'll call it a plus 15 for whatever role you fancy. But what are you picturing?
What am I rolling for here? Just to see how everything's progressed?
Yeah, see how
I can keep it under control?
Yeah, the setting up of cults is going. And,
the setting up of cults.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tell you what, we'll do setting up for the first 5 years, then keeping under control for the 5 years after that. So we'll do two separate roles.
Sure. I want something... I'm not really good at it. Can I get deceive for the setting up? Because mainly 90% of them are just duds to distract people from my real goal.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take deceive over intelligence, please.
Sure. Was that a plus 15?
Plus 15. Sorry,
do these cults have any members, or are they just in name only?
They'd have a few members.
Yeah,
well.
he has a pretty large membership basis, tried by Cat there, membership basis throughout both the Obsidian Heart and the Fleet. It took a beating during the Battle of Abarast. But, the survivors go on to be really dramatic.
You can just imagine, right, thinking you're part of this, really tiny cult and thinking, yeah, I'm so special. There's, no one knows about this. I'm so special. And it turns out, no, you're one of the shit-tier distraction cults who's designed to have no members.
Well,
the emotional whiplash would just...
The actual purpose of most of the cults will be to sort of observe and organise them.
That is 4 degrees of success. There's a lot of cults in the Fleet, and especially...
Yeah, they're supposed to be administrative subcults for running different parts of it. Most of them will let be infiltrated by the admech.
Such a popular structure. It spreads not just through the Obsidian Heart, but through the Fleet, especially as more ships are brought in to replace your losses over Barrast. Your, so far, moderately exemplary performance.
I forgot the cult was spreading slightly on other ships earlier.
You,
you're just than the Emperor. And
you don't really, at this point, even have an idea exactly how many cults and subcults you have on other ships in the fleet. As the initial attempts at causing people to splinter according to interest group proved too effective on 4 degrees of success, giving you maybe somewhere just under or just north of 100 in the Obsidian Heart.
Given we got so much cult activity, have we got any cults of the Saviour Emperor going yet?
It's... sorry, 10 seconds. The cat's demanding food in the background. I'll be right back. But potentially...
I like the idea that Creed's cult could one day outshine the Emperor's cult.
I just want to ask, are we aware at anything more than a surface level about these cults, or is this purely you, Chris?
This is mainly purely me. I've kept it underground. I've mentioned discreetly to Coayah that I have some influence among the technomads and can probably help.
Yes, so you actually probably have a fairly diverse group of belief systems within these cults. Some of them, in fact most at this point, as I recall the original basis, argue for the machine spirit of the Obsidian Heart itself is the center of their beliefs, and then with assorted, effectively minor gods and saints ascribe to the machine spirits of the other ships in the fleet.
Yeah, I like to think every time I tried to steer them back to worshipping the Omnisire, it just created a new saint that also wasn't the Omnisire.
That's kind of the issue that you're having. It works well initially, but then by the time that you realize that it's out of control, it's really out of control. Some of them are therefore worshipping the Omnisire as the ship, but also the Emperor as the Omnisire, and this is itself causing issues for people on the ships, as it's religious activity within the super atheist fleet. Thank Christ you don't have the remembrance around anymore.
Well, that's the thing as well, because I will have to, by state policy, stamp out any cult activity that literally deifies the Emperor.
That's why
isn't the Omnisire.
That's why I asked for this. I suspected it would go this way, and I wanted to get this ready to justify your 2 insanity points. Now let's see how well you're keeping control of these, shall we, Creed?
It's a fun roll.
So I think this is going to be command over fellowship, please.
Sure. Just flat?
Just flat. Now I'll give you a +5. Let's be nice.
Oh no.
Let it ride.
Can I re-roll it?
If you've got fate, you can. This is the end of a campaign, technically, right? Because it's the post-session for the last one. So if you've got any fate remaining, then yeah, you can.
Sure.
Can't
be worse, right? Ooh.
Well, it's not
+5, I'm off by 2.
Oh, no. Yeah, you think you have control over most of the major organs of these cults. The reason that you are potentially slightly concerned isn't that you're worried that... I'm trying to remember the new Magos adjutant's name, which is...
Drolora Favelnim.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have it highlighted on my thing and I haven't learned it yet. So it's not necessarily that Drolora Favelnim seems like she's wresting control of too many cults. She is of quite a number, but a lot of them are the ones you expected and set up specifically for this. The issue is that quite a number of these cults seem to be acting under their own power, or the power of unrelated minor third parties, such as people within either cult structure. The system has effectively gone wild. This, in the next 5 years, has caused an immense amount of stress for Coayah, as campaign prosecution is actually fairly reasonable during this period. A lot of worlds just committing to compliance pretty early on. There's some fighting, but they're fairly simple and staid planetary invasions. It's nothing too dramatic. But he's having to deal with issues with people under his own command. The Space Marines are failing moral character in terms of becoming skin-hungry maniacs, and it's a lot of work to keep them from escalating incidents into becoming major diplomatic clusterfucks.
I'm always underhanded because I keep having to blam my own men.
And the mortals are forming cult activity. Some of them are worshipping the Emperor, some of them are worshipping the ship, some of them are worshipping more exotic things. In the worst instances, even Xenos. Not helped by the colossal Xenos-retrieved gun on the main ship.
Can I do some kind of roll to try and root out the worst of the cult
I
and
think
see
that
how
is-
badly that goes. Because I will take the result. I refuse. I have faith. I will not re-roll, and I will use that as justification for stress.
You know what? Entirely fair. I am, however, going to give you a bonus on it because I feel like you're committed and have a lot of structures in favour of you. So,
Oh, did I succeed in setting up my observational cult and my private
yes,
office?
I think with 4 degrees of success, you can consider your 2 personal subcults to be firmly under your control and in
All right.
existence.
In that case, if possible, I'd try and discreetly assist Coayah using my spies in the cult.
It's fair. We'll give you another +10 for that then, Coayah. I think
Tracking.
I think that's going to be scrutiny, I'm afraid, organisation. But you can roll it over intelligence or perception, whichever's higher. Oh, they're the same for you. Fuck.
Yeah, the same for me. So +10, did you say?
+10 from Creed, and we will call it... I'm going to give you another +15 for the organs of state you have at your command.
Okay, well that's 70. So okay, so that's 5 degrees of success.
On 5 degrees...
Coayah starts the Inquisition early.
On 5 degrees of success, forming what is very explicitly not called an Inquisition for the religious connotations there, but is...
Inquisition because Kill Squad sounds so brutal and so inelegant.
an investigative task force, if you will.
Banana Squad doesn't sound inelegant.
You're not calling it Banana Squad. So the now apparently what was that, 5 degrees of success, you say?
Yes.
So one of the major things that's giving you problems, even as you try to assist it, Coatlmox, is Coayah's formation of a fairly successful secret police force, which acts, if anything, as its own form of cult in many ways, infiltrating...
I was going to say, I should have got involved in the secret police force. If only I could have led that operation.
Infiltrating and destroying a number of the worst
Thing is,
offending cults.
I trust you quite implicitly, Creed. So if you want to have been inducted into the secret police force,
I'd happily be a member. I'll say I wasn't a driving force, just so this roll doesn't get messed up.
So it's such an
Just
incestuous
another
role.
finger and another pie.
Yeah.
So this is that's stress number 2, and then let's take a final D3 and see how well your activities go, Benji. We'll just base it off of this. We know you're rooting out cults, but let's see how much that's actually solving the problem. 3!
Oh, no.
That's a net of 6 insanity points I make it out to be for the duration. And no,
I love the steady increase.
and the fact that it's 1, 2, 3 is perfect.
well, I just get the idea that this has solved the problem of these cults, but I've now created a new cult in the form of secret police cults.
And you're not really happy with the secret police, but you don't necessarily want to disband it because they keep finding new cults, so this is clearly an issue. They've not outlived their usefulness. Not to mention the fact that, per the ending of last campaign, even though you probably really kind of want to disband them in the long term, you have a slight nagging feeling at the back of your mind that there's something bad about throwing away tools after they've outlived their usefulness.
Question
Yes.
about the secret police. Are they killing space marines? Are they... How is this being handled?
This is mortal only. The only space marine that I'm aware of who's explicitly involved in Coatlmox's cults is Coatlmox, and he gets away with it very partially, not only because he's a space marine and that, gives him a certain amount of clout, but also because he's a member of the command crew and somewhat above suspicion. And then also apparently involved with the secret police, which allows him to quietly throw some of the other cults under the bus.
To head off suspicion.
Man, imagine being in one of the tiny cults thinking you're all this and that, and then you're actually one of the cults deliberately designed to be a throwaway cult just because, wow,
Yeah.
just the worst.
Actually, the vast majority of them. Okay.
Over the 14 years,
Yes.
I would have liked to started a collection, a library, one might say. Of,
I think you had a library.
Huh?
I said I think you had a library, but then I realised you hadn't told me what you wanted a library of, so I'm being...
Yeah.
You know what he wants a library of. You know what...
Brains.
Maybe not.
It's brains.
It's brains.
No, it's occult tomes and various collections of psychic Xenos races, specifically so we can better destroy them in battle, of course.
Exactly.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
On the front, yes. So it's
Just brains in jars, to
it's-
be honest.
Yeah, let me
a
hear
collection
what
of oddities from our campaigns, our battles, the different planets we come to, researching more and more into these clear psychers, and I clearly have a touch on but research into how to handle said beings and so forth.
Okay, so you're looking into like anti-psyker methods, but kind of a little bit on the down low, probably getting away with it because everyone else is involved with culture, or many other members of the command crew who would normally be keeping tabs on this, engaged in this weird witch hunt for these cults that probably don't exist. I don't know what the fuck people are up to.
Actually, I'll come out to a few members of the
Let's
command crew.
maybe not use that terminology, shall we?
I will talk to
you have at the moment
Coayah?
already revealed yourself to Kuzco, so Kuzco is aware and has been actively helping you with your shenanigans.
Yeah, I'll let.
I will be
Coayah
calling it
know.
in.
You're going to tell me?
I think so.
I just started an inquisition to root out all possible opposition to the Imperial truth. Hey, I'm collecting this stuff rather than destroying it as per our mission.
You know what? Fair enough. Actually, yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you, actually.
And it's fine. So it sounds like in addition to your existing roles as ship's psychiatrist, ship's librarian, ship's kind of law cleric you kind of took over last time as well, as I recall, you're now adding either archivist or museum keeper, whatever the more appropriate one is, to your list of nerd titles.
And I'm hoping to roll for the power, but in my searching for places to hide things, do I get pushed in the direction of Coatlmox due to this thing?
Whenever you look for a hiding place, you just find a cult already set up and operating.
Yeah, I also have
check.
Psychic.
Oh, sorry.
I have the psychic power. What is it? It's is it Augury, I think, that can help me with certain things. It's like you ask a question and it says do this sort of thing, or little bits.
At last check, you actually are pretty much good on that front. You're probably one of the few people with a measure of privacy from the cult in any way, shape, or form. You were mostly keeping your works, your offices, and your assorted hidden treasonous secrets in the ship's library, which we have been portraying as somewhat heavily restricted. Which means that most workers do not generally have access to it, and those who do are security vetted pretty heavily. So you not only are not necessarily coming into contact with the cults, but the cults aren't coming into contact with you, which means Coayah as well. But Coatlmox probably has a fairly false sense of security, thinking that, like, I know everything that's happening. My cults tell me, or they tell people who tell me. But actually has a blind spot for the shenanigans you're pulling specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you do want to get me involved, I'd love it.
Yeah, I know you would. I just think it would be really fun to have you involved is the other thing. But, we keep it's I scratch your back, you scratch my back sort of thing.
So what favours are you wanting to trade with him there, then, it sounds like, as you work on this?
It's kind of, I quickly need to move this from here to there, or I need some information about this, or I need to, your black stone, I can help you with that sort of thing. And you can help me move things around ships. Because obviously...
to be fair, if you had any evidence that you could help me with Blackstone research, I probably would have folded immediately.
So after a number of private altercations and discussions on the subject... sorry, Ollie?
Nothing, please.
Both psychiatrist Nazeem and Brother Captain Techmarine, Magos Obsidia Coatlmox, come to a sort of mutual conclusion that they actually both have things the other one wants, and begin an investigative partnership around witchy bullshit, it seems. So let's take this as a roll from Nazeem, but we'll probably let Coatlmox support on, I guess, also this. I'm tempted to suggest this is... Is it a bit too floaty to say maybe silent move of a fellowship? Do you have an alternate preference? And then we can give you a +10 for Cread supporting.
Literacy? Or just for moving things around?
This is for, like, starting your hidden investigation and then pursuing it over a period of years, but also kind of coordinating with Coatlmox to not just bring in what you can personally sort, but what his people can acquire on the battlefield or from hulks and things.
I see. Would that be, scrutiny or search, maybe, then? Well, it's silent moves are even better, isn't it, actually, yeah. Yeah, silent move works, I think.
Okay, we will take, in that case, silent move of a fellowship at a +10. If you get 100, then the secret police find you.
Get a hundo.
Don't get a hundo.
You get a hundo.
Get a hundo.
Nazeem is easily one of my favourite characters.
With,
Never thought I'd say that.
Connections. Can I do intelligence? The planning and strategic mind behind doing this, rather than the talking to people.
Okay.
You are going to have to talk to people eventually.
Yeah, well, no, he's kind of outsourcing a lot of it to Coatlmox, right? So here's what I will do. I will allow you to roll intelligence as masterminding, but that means you're offloading substantial amounts to Coatlmox, which means Coatlmox will functionally basically know anything you're doing on this subject. He's privy to all information, probably up to and including the Psyker thing.
I've now essentially become spy master instead of cult master.
You are simultaneously occupying the positions of secret head of cults, secret head of spies, also involved within the secret police, and secret heresy investigations.
Oh my god, you're just a fucking, like, Venn diagram right now.
Because it's funny, fuck it, yes.
Excellent, outstanding. Roll away then. Intelligence.
Oh, for God's sake.
Holy fuck. That's, what's the DOS on that? 5 degrees of success.
I was rolling at 60 or under. No, that's right. It's
65
plus
or under,
15.
right?
So
no, I think it was plus 10.
Oh, plus 10?
Yeah. 65 or under. It's 6 degrees
65.
of success.
6 degrees, yeah.
6 degrees of success. I would like to open. I would like to open with an apology to Benji. You're a dear, dear friend, and you don't deserve any of this.
Oh, this is great.
Coayah is retiring. Maccy, this is Mackie's problem now.
What?
You just got voted in again.
I'm gonna go live on a space hulk and fight gene stealers.
It'll be soothing, therapeutic.
It'll be a lovely time compared to this shit.
Nazeem, you've learnt a lot from sneaking around. You've learnt a lot from working with the Apothecary Primus, Kuzco. And after a few discussions, you've learnt a lot from Coatlmox. You also spent not a small amount of time leading the company. You have people management skills, and that entailed a lot of management of army personnel as well. You put all of this to dastardly use on a slew of battlefields and in a variety of negotiations. More than a few operatives are executed or fed over to the secret police or simply go missing in tragic industrial accidents after they acquire something of great value and dubious legality on this or that newly conquered subject world. Deliver it to silent handlers, and are then quietly disposed of. Slowly, the forbidden collection you have distributed throughout the Librarian grows. In hidden crevices, secret books, and tiny alcoves built half-secret, half-overt into the ship's structure. You are able to acquire a motley collection of tomes, fragments of psychically active Xenos, and other stranger things, as well as a not insignificant supply of fluid suspended brains from the psychically active and the psychically questionable.
They're a library of brains. You ended up with a library of brains.
What?
Fucking knew it!
Naturally, you get away with a lot of this, not only because you have a friend and helper inside the secret police, but because it's being hidden in one of the most secure places on the ship, and therefore one of the places least under secret police surveillance because, well, it's got so many other checks, it's kind of not a concern.
As I observe this going much better than I could have possibly imagined, can I set up some sort of dead man switch in myself so if I die, all my information on the goings-on go to Coayah?
Or just a single file on the secret police main network goes from private to public.
Yeah.
Readme.exe.
Surprise, motherfucker.
I love the Coatlmox, Coayah waking up in the morning. You've got mail. Oh, what is this? Nazeem!
Eye twitches. Surf, bring me the melter guns.
See it now. You wake up to that message. The rest of us go to find you. We can't find you over the following days. We go into your room. There's just taped to the cogitator. Gone to find a nice space Hulk. You deal with this.
It's going to be like, you're on the brink, you're 99 insanity points, and then you get the message, it just ticks over to 100.
So, I think that means we should check in with Kuzco and Maccy. Now, Kuzco, as far as I'm aware, was involved a little bit with Nazeem, but not massively with this level of, I'd say industrial espionage, but, just regular espionage, full-scale Black Ops stuff at this point. What do Kuzco and Maccy feel like they're up to, if anything?
So, I do have a few things. I don't know if you want to go first.
Oh, no, you go for it.
Cool. So, right. First of the things I want to be doing is basically laying the groundwork for getting far more people to vote for me next time.
Excellent. You'll be playing politics whilst everyone else is bullshitting around with cults.
Right, yeah.
I'm not trying to interrupt you here, but I just want to say that we can work together because this kind of plays in what I'm going to do after.
Oh, yeah, perfect then. Yeah, I'm down for that. So I've got a few things going on. One of it's political side. So the political side is, I want to make a Havoc squad, the most attractive squad to want to transfer to, and perks and that sort of thing. I can't remember if we can do transfers, but basically I want to grow the Havoc squad, right? And
Let's see.
And, perks, all that sort of good shit.
I think you can make that work. And then, so even if the squad itself, or if Havoc Company never gets, even if it doesn't get to the same level as the murder, you could still control, a powerful voting block on the basis that people want to be in Havoc Company. Okay, so you want to, make yourself the premium company.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Havoc Squad is the creme de la creme, and it has all these cool perks, all these great things to joining it.
It already has a number. This is a good plan. It's already got a number of advantages, right? The other major organizational divisions we have are you have Tactical Company, whose main thing is that they don't want to be in the murder, and the murder, who are really just united by a shared, presumably gene flaw-induced bloodlust. And then the only other major structure that has a number of people in it is the Apothecarian.
Who are also the consuls, who are not popular because they keep shooting people.
Exactly. So, the only company that people join because they want to be in it, because they have a passion for it, is already Havoc Company. Sorry, I was a bit of a tangent. I like where you're going with this. Okay, keep pitching to me, Ollie. What do we got?
So, good perks. We
have dental.
Say again?
We have dental.
Yeah, we have dental. We have eye care.
I think in an era where your medical personnel are the same ones responsible for summary execution on ethical grounds, you probably don't want to advertise medical perks.
Yeah, maybe not.
That is also for the record at this point, because that was something that happened towards the end of the last campaign, I believe. So that's... obviously in the interim post-session for the campaign before that, rather. So that's also started to spread through the rest of the Legion at this point. It's just become a thing that the Second Legion, the consuls and the Apothecarian, it's more or less the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The only Space Marines who should ever kill another Space Marine is an Apothecary. Sorry, carry on, Ollie.
No, that's fine. The other thing I want to do is, for the honorific and specialist ranks, are those often crewed by Space Marines on Space Marine ships? Or are they crewed by mortals? So something like the Master of Arms. So I've got one here, which is Master of Arms and Master of Ordnance. Are they usually captained by Space Marines, or are they captained by Imperial Guard?
I would say Army.
Army, sorry.
I would say that can absolutely vary according to the fleet and the preferences of the captaining legion. There is the nascent, what will eventually become the Imperial Navy, and is currently the ship wing of the Imperial Army. the original core for that are the like spacer fleets of the Jovian shipyards. So there is actually like a lesser known but still exists in the setting. These are the shipborne naval aristocracy elite. That does exist as well. We've not really been playing that you guys have got any of them. And in fact, I think you had a slightly trashy ship initially, and we've just kind of run with it. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's up to you guys whether you would like to make that a Space Marine position or a mortal position. And no one else has said anything, Ollie, which means at this moment it's up to you whether you want to make that a Space Marine or mortal position.
You want to make it a Space Marine position. So for all the best positions, so I'm going to also slowly scatter my Havoc squad, high-ranking members of my Havoc squad, like the captains of the squads that report to me, I suppose. They can have various titles. They can take up various titles across the various ships, like Master of Ordnance, Master Gunner.
A soft policy that all big guns should be under Havoc Company in some way, shape, or form. Okay.
Also other ones. So things like, I don't know, just like Officer of the Watch, Fleet Commissar potentially. Something like maybe the ship's confessor. If we have something like that right now, I guess we don't because we're not really.
Yeah, we don't have confessors, and technically, I don't think we have commissars. The naval commissariat is the same as the guard commissariat. It's
okay,
the same organization.
We have consuls.
So the Space Marines have consuls, but the army doesn't have commissars.
So I'm thinking also if mutants exist right now in our sort of ships, Twist Catcher or Master of the Vox, that sort of stuff, Purser even. So, basically...
Why would you put a Space Marine as the Purser?
Yes, because I'm going for a soft political sort of thread where you guys are all fighting for your high-up shit. I'm just generally taking control of the ship.
You know what? I actually love Ollie's tack with this. His note for the end of last campaign, per the reminders, was he ruthlessly wants to become Grand Captain at any cost, especially as Coayah's clearly slowly showing cracks under the strain of doing a good job, unlike many other people around him, by his own standards at least. And meanwhile, in the wings, Maccy going, okay, interesting. What do you feel like rolling for this, Ollie? It feels like a fellowship roll of some kind, but I think there's a number of skills we could apply to it.
Yeah, so what's my fellowship isn't too bad. So potentially, I don't know, maybe a concealment? I don't know.
I could see charm, command, if you want to be really cheeky, maybe gamble. Obviously all of these change the tone of how you're approaching it somewhat.
Yeah.
I don't think any of your laws really apply. Blather.
No, I wouldn't have thought. Maybe, I don't know, Primera Imperialis, whatever it's called.
That
Primus
definitely doesn't cover this, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I only really have... I mean, maybe Intimidate with Strength?
You can Intimidate, if you like. I don't think we'd count your armour bonus over that, but you could still have your raw characteristic.
Yeah, but the rest of the thing is I want to be known as that nice, happy, gregarious guy.
Definitely. I would let you roll Intimidate over Fellowship for a slightly more, like, Mafia-esque feel, if you'd like.
No, I'm fine without doing that, I think.
Even if you did it that way, you've still got to... You're just trying to portray yourself as nicer than the guy running the secret police operation.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I think the secret police are a bit of an open secret at this point. Actually, you know what? Let's check in with Coayah. Coayah, how secret are the secret police? Are they officially recognized? Are they played up?
I think they're not officially recognized, but I think it's an SAS situation. Is they're used so much you can't keep them secret.
Everyone knows they're there.
There's so many cults on this goddamn ship
Everyone
in this goddamn fleet that it's impossible that people don't know they're there.
Everyone knows that the Loyalty Investigation Task Force is they definitely exist. They've potentially even seen them in many instances, but officially they don't exist. But the people who like to point out that they exist too publicly tend to go missing.
I think I'll go for, I guess, Charm. Or because I don't really want to do command.
Do charm over fellowship. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give you're a little bit overbearing with your charm, but you have always been somewhat at ease around regular humans, so you've always made an effort to keep track of them. So we're gonna give you a +5 for that as a long-term roleplay thing.
Okay, awesome. Do I get any bonuses for I guess keeping for just being, I guess this isn't about keep making Havoc Squad attractive. Even though this is like an open secret that if you go into my squads, you can then get into positions of power around the ships you're on.
Well, sorry,
okay. Does that give me any extra bonuses?
I don't think so at the moment, because this is like seeing how that goes.
Okay, no worries.
I will say that I think you probably have to fuck it up quite badly as a role to really fuck it up, because there's nothing you're doing here that you don't just have the right to do automatically. It's how tactfully can you do it. So we're talking like you're going to have to get some pretty heavy doffs, like 3+ to really fuck it.
Okay, so that would be a lot of heavy doffs.
That's
Luckily, I do have one fate point
Don't
left.
reroll.
Don't reroll to a hundo, Ollie. You'll break my heart.
Reroll to a hundo.
That's 2 degrees of failure, unfortunately.
2 degrees of failure. So the plan works, but not as well as you'd hope. Getting your Marines installed into positions of power goes pretty well. Even getting them, once you start to have them sort of farmed out to some of the other ships in the fleet, turns out there's actually like a weird amount of inter-ship traffic already going on. The regular mortals get up to it a surprising, almost alarming amount, frankly. Fuck knows who's keeping track of these. You do now. Because you have ship's purses on at least some of these ships. Mostly staffed by members of Havoc Company. Members of Havoc Company who are not necessarily happy to be in these positions, actually. Turns out they don't really want to be the person.
All the other Space Marines take the piss out of them.
Well,
They're persons. They're the people who collect the money when you go on a trip.
I'm thinking it's more of a honorific, title, right? So they're not the ones literally, they have human staff who go underneath.
Yeah, who are actually doing it. But they're probably still getting the piss taken out of them by other Space Marines. That said, you also have Space Marines who are like, oh, I'm the Master of Ordnance for this ship. And that's actually kind of cool. It's making you some progress, some inroads, right? There are people in the company who are clearly seeing like, oh, Havoc Company's kind of making something of itself, right? You get into positions of power. The issue that you're then potentially running into, it sounds like, is not that the plan is bad, or even that the plan's not necessarily working. It's that a large proportion of the people who you want to seduce are already bloodthirsty psychopaths. And they haven't really followed the simple, like, step 2 to step 3 of your plan of achieve positions of power and wealth.
I was thinking that we would be the most attractive for the new recruits. So wherever the new recruits go,
you make your numbers up in record time. As you recall, you had, like, pretty heavy losses after Barras. The debacle on the flagship meant that, like, you got out with a shit ton of honor. Like, holy fuck. Thousands to one at some points.
Yeah.
But also, I think in the end, it was somewhere between 50 and 60% of Havoc Company went down on either that ship or other ships. It was pretty brutal. A large number of them wearing Terminator suits as well. But Havoc Company is pretty good at sniping a large number of high-quality recruits who would probably otherwise drift into Tactical Company. So the number of Havoc Company is also swelling and growing over time. The Grand Company itself is probably well over the standard-ish 1,000. You're probably at this point getting more towards the 1,500, 2,000 stage as the years wear on. A lot of whom, most of whom even, are junior recruits. But the forces coming out of Terra are going for major fleets to reinforce, and yours is a major fleet.
Awesome. Okay, so not amazing, but it worked out pretty well.
It's giving you a basis. Carl, what did you want to be getting on with?
2 more things, but I'll let Carl go first because that was a long segment.
No, you can finish if you want. I don't mind.
No, I'd like to hear what you're doing, Carl, so that I can get timeline synced in my mind. And I've still got a thing to handle for the lead-in campaign for the next campaign.
Well, I say pretty much everything is going to be focused around a Battle Yoga Club. So I say there's going to be a slight reformation with some things. It's not just going to be Battle Yoga, like the physical element, but the mental element, like meditation and things like that.
Espousing philosophy.
Yeah. But I also kind of want to work in the medical scientific aspect of things like, let's say, minor hypnotism and indoctrination.
Okay. Something which is fully able to do you some level of service. It's pretty clear. Oh, that was awful sentence structure. It's pretty clear that the fleet is desperate for some level of spiritual fulfillment. The mortals are aching for it. They're turning to these cults partially out of that. And at least from the pitch so far, it sounds like what you're offering is a form of philosophy that can to some extent fulfill that need, but which is couched in fundamentally rationalist terms that meets the Imperium's quite strict criteria for are you allowed.
Very much so, yes.
I mean, you'd best make sure it does. There's a secret police going around investigating that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, naturally, but I'm trying to do it, like, also kind of subtly, like, getting my own influence in there, like, because it's, like, I say, a club sort of thing. I'm more approachable than other command team members that are, like, rigidly in their hierarchies.
Yeah,
You never set out to become Stalin, but sometimes it just happens.
And on that subject, as the years wear on, the Obsidian Heart is the name of the ship as far as the cult's concerned. But, as new ships join the fleet, as captains are brought on board, as people approach the bridge and its most prominent new direction, more than a few people take to calling the capital ship something ever so slightly different.
Obsidian Spear.
As you may recall, Coayah captured the night pilot that he fought very publicly on the main conveyorway running through the spine of your ship. Had the man fully flensed, in fact, and then, whilst still alive, installed in a stasis cage which he hung over the main entrance to the bridge, along with a large gilded plaque, reading in letters tall enough to be seen and read from the ground at a walking pace, "The price of defiance."
I did do that, yes.
For the new captains joining your fleet, the Obsidian Heart is one name. It's what the weird cultists may call it. For everyone else, that ship is the price of defiance.
Ooh, that's a badass name.
That's very good, actually.
It also sounds like the sort of name you get on a hat on a chaos ship.
A little bit.
I'm just going to speedily check. Sorry, because we still haven't done Carl's role here. I just want to speedily check in. Benji, how do you feel about that as you become aware of it over the years?
Slightly pleased, but what I was going to say was, does that mean, especially if we conduct any operations on the ship in terms of trying to get people on our side and bring compliances to worlds, do we get a slight minus to that unless it's an intimidation test? Because trying to invite people up and going, we're all about human unification, ignore that. We're all about human unification. Please ignore the skinned corpse I have kept in a stasis cage.
Oh, absolutely. If you bring them onto the bridge, that's definitely going to be a malice. That said, to be fair, it is entirely possible that you have a negotiation ship in your shoal, which is where you actually bring people.
I think I would bring them to a specific like negotiation ship rather than please come back to the ship. Please ignore the giant skinned corpse I have decorated the entranceway.
He's not a corpse.
Unless obviously
you had him statized alive. He's screaming in the moments of his death due to flensing. Permanently.
Yeah. Yes, sorry. Not corpse. The not corpse. But yes, I imagine I'd get a bonus for intimidation, though.
When you show it off strategically, probably yes. How do you feel about the name situation there? Do you officially or unofficially endorse or encourage it? Do you discourage it? Do you just kind of ignore it and let it be? People are calling the ship two different things. Fuck it, you don't care.
Oh, I'm just going to let it be. I don't really give a monkey's what they call it.
It's entirely fair. So then we'll skip back to the battle yoga. I want to get onto my stuff by about 1/2 past, so we're going to spin through. Carl, what do we got? Did you fancy a roll on this, or was there other stuff you wanted to be doing?
Well, I mean, like, there probably will be a role, but I mean, I'm not, like, I say, overtly doing anything. It's more just a case of, like, trying to ingratiate myself isn't the right term, but it's the best one I can come up with. But, like, make myself generally accepted among the regular, like, folk as well as the standard Marines and even the murder sort of thing. And then use that influence to, I say, effectively float the idea that maybe, like, voting in Coayah for a change could actually be beneficial because, like, they're quite gung-ho, right? Maybe the murder could actually let loose if he was in charge.
Maccy, you mean?
Maccy, yes. Yes, sorry. Names.
If you'll recall, I believe your Battle Yoga classes, they started out with some Space Marine members, but those sort of dropped off as the Mortal Attendant spiked, because it's like...
Yeah, but I thought it went up again after that.
Did it? I don't remember that, but if you do, then I'll bow to the superior memory.
I could easily be misremembering. Like,
I'll tell you what. Should we call an odds or evens on it? Let me get the thing queued up.
I mean, but either way, is like I could get the regular people talking about it around the murder.
Oh, what? So supporting Coatlmox is
Kind of like social engineering,
okay,
basically.
Fair. Cool. Okay. Call me odds or evens on the Space Marine membership thing.
I always fuck this up. Odds.
Can everyone stop trying to bring the twin forces of ultimate evil, chaos, and the metaverse onto my ship?
Have a fate point. Cool. So that is evens, I'm afraid. So that is a no go. Yeah, the Space Marine. God damn it, the Space Marine attendance has fallen off a bit, but it sounds like your mortal attendance is going pretty well. I think from the pitch there, it sounds like you've negotiated yourself the much coveted charm over intelligence role. Please, Carl.
Yeah, this is going to go horribly. Charm is my dump stat. I went with the horrible bedside manner style doctor.
I will give you a +5 for your initial existing framework for this, as you've already done some setup for this previously.
Okay, sorry, my cheat's just showing a blank. There we go. Oh, it's not that terrible. Sorry, it was what over fellowship? Charm.
Charm, yeah.
Okay.
I said charm over intelligence. Sorry, not fellowship.
Oh, intelligence. Okay, sorry.
Damn it! I've just seen you change your.
Fuck me.
That's
a
number
my boy.
of what is that?
That's 3.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's going pretty well. As mentioned, people seem desperate for some level of mental fulfillment, a certain sense of well-being that they only seem able to get out of your rather airy but fairly rationalist philosophy. Not to mention the fact that the secret police rather likely struggle to persecute people for it too much, when a lot of the time that would mean implicitly criticizing the Grand Apothecary himself, which might cause them some issues if it's reported. As the Apothecarium, I mean, I think technically they only execute Space Marines, but consuls only execute Space Marines rather. But I'm pretty sure it's not really a massive stretch to say that the Apothecary are probably, and in their role as consuls, are probably empowered to kill basically anyone.
Support your family and friends. Fabulous prizes to be won.
Are you quoting Red Dwarf at me?
No, you know I am.
That's the one with the squid. Season 5? Season 5.
Yeah, season 5.
Tell us how much. Sorry, the words couldn't come out in the right time. Tell us how much Red Dwarf you've watched without telling us how much Red Dwarf you've watched. There we go, that's what I was trying to do.
Fair amount. No, I don't mean to brag, but I usually do pretty damn well at Red Dwarf trivia quizzes. Unless it's behind the scenes stuff, I'm not so good at that. So, the Battle Yoga spreads rapidly throughout the fleet. Again, you notice there's a weird amount of traffic between the void ships that form the, I believe you were the 22nd Expeditionary Fleet, right?
Fuck.
Yes, I believe so.
Question. We've spoken about flinging people through the
Oh, wait.
wall. To save on fuel, is it entirely possible people start just taking on the tradition of just, I need to go to that ship over there, just fling themselves?
No, that's
Talked about it with
such a terrible idea.
We talked about Knights, and that was boarding actions specifically.
And even with Knights, as I believe I said at the time repeatedly, you cannot fling Knights in that fashion. They would need to be affixed to a boarding torpedo, and that's probably a bad idea. I'm going to go with when you deliver Knights to other ships, they're still inside boarding torpedoes, but boarding torpedoes are large and you can fit a couple of Knights in there, maybe 3 or 4 if you squeeze. We are, to be clear, never allowing you to fling anything alive at that speed and those distances and have it reach its target and then be fine without issue. It breaks the immersion for me massively. Okay. You have boarding torpedoes, you can use those. And in this instance, you have regular craft, you can use those. And they do, spreading the battle yoga between the craft as new craft arrive, and their crew are rapidly assimilated into this or that cult, and this overwhelming uniting doctrine of battle yoga, which also conveniently provides both a level of wellness, physical excellence, and, serves to spread some of the karma aspects of the Legion throughout the crews and bind them together, but also a place for the disparate cults to discuss and unite and socialize without necessarily needing to worry too much about inter-service rivalries. A lodge, if you will.
Is it, does this help my cause as well? Because from what I remember, Carl was specifically...
I think we're going to get on to that. Yes, it sounds like Carl wants to do some social engineering in support of Maccy. So, Kuzco, just for... because I'm really going to try and spin on a little bit, and I still need to do 2 Ollie things. Was there anything else you wanted to do other than the social engineering, which we're about to get to?
Well, I was going to say, because we've already sort of brought up the consuls, but kind of make people less afraid of them, sort of thing. Like, don't worry, it's like perfectly fine because they're not going after anyone that isn't like deserving on it, and you guys are perfectly fine, whilst effectively using it as a chance to like watch over them all.
Okay, so you want to kind of like rebrand the consuls in the public image. I mean, you're never really going to get Space Marines on board. They're not happy with
no, that's fine.
But for the mortals, I can see it. They're the watchmen who watch the watchers, basically.
Yeah, and as a result, like, they'll freely gossip, and then we can pick up on things that might not necessarily come to light.
So you have on the one hand secret police, on the other hand judge, jury, and executioner, cowboy, loner types who are doctors.
Don't worry, you'll feel a little pinch here, and yep,
this
you're
is
done.
A lot more law enforcement than most expeditionary fleets have, and is doing fantastically awful things to those who share your gene seeds.
Don't worry about the Dr. Cowboys or the secret police. Come to our expedition, please.
I just got a couple of psychic active brains over here.
We have brains and purses.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm also using this, like I say, in conjunction with that, because then we can find out if anyone's, like I say, starting to twig to it and just silence them real quick.
Oh god, you're right, yeah!
So Cole's actually ended up being the ultimate power here, by the sounds of it.
Well, it sounds like he's negotiating for some power behind the throats.
Yeah. I feel like Cole's going to end up being Kingmaker at the end of it.
Let's see how the roll goes, shall we? Because he's certainly trying to. So we'll do 2 here then, I think. We'll do 1 for the social engineering, and then before that we'll do the public rebranding. So I'm going to call that... I think that's probably another charm roll. I think that's going to be Charm of a Fellowship. I think you're in a good position. People are naturally awed of Space Marines, and they lack the inherent distrust of consuls that actual Marines do. So I will give you a net of a +20.
Sweet.
In addition to, like, obviously the public perception from your social outward persona with mortals and your, like, ongoing efforts at battle yoga.
Sweet, yeah. That's 4 degrees.
Fuck me, 3. Yeah, that is 4 degrees of success. The mortals are in awe of the consul apothecaries. Not afraid of isn't necessarily quite the term, but they have a certain celebrity, a certain mystique. There's at least a couple of ships throughout the fleet where small, crude, collectible cards depict the individual... This is only like a dozen of you guys, right? Probably less than that?
20 max, right. I think, isn't it?
Yeah. So, not really that many. Enough that people can have a favourite consul and know their name, their personality, their like areas of justice they specifically deal with. The ships
start an idol group.
On. They're like a little board game you can play with them.
That's probably a little... I mean, I imagine there's someone doing it somewhere, but I don't think they're doing it openly. If nothing else, because that might be to invite the wrath of the consuls of the Apothecary.
Hey guys, I've put my favourite consul into Battle Mace 42 million.
Sorry, I found that a lot funnier than I should have done. And then let's see how the social engineering goes.
Was that not it?
No, this was the like rebranding the consuls thing. So
okay.
You've put yourself in a great position with the mortals, and now it's how can you use that to quietly support Maccy without Maccy realizing. And I think that might be another charm of a fellowship, but this seems more difficult, right? So I will give you a net plus 10 for your positive relationships and institutions you can manipulate.
That's cool. Oh, this is the point where I remember something about fate. Like, shit. Why didn't I look this up while you were talking?
Rerolls, adding extra successes.
Ah, it was successes. Okay, I thought I might be able to buy a bonus.
You can also spend a fate for a plus 10, but it's in advance of the roll.
Right,
I've always found that one a bit confusing, honestly.
Okay, cool. And that's also, I can still reroll and
you can still reroll, but then that's a second fate.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna spend another plus 10 for a plus 20.
He knows the campaign refreshes on the way, and he doesn't expect to be using it anymore, isn't it?
Maybe. That's 2 successor.
2 successor. Yeah, so Coatlmox, you've been slowly forcing out senior members of staff on other ships, but weirdly you find it surprisingly easy. You were kind of imagining you'd have to have more discussions, that you'd have to, have a little bit more give and take with this, that at least some people would be angry or try to resist. But though individuals are mad, very often a lot of the ships seem to have a really positive response to having you around. As the battle yoga spreads, so too does your fame. As Havoc Company, they're not really on the same weird level that the mortals seem to have put the consuls on, but...
Coatlmox at the beginning, so...
not Coatlmox. My brain. I've not been with these characters for a while.
Kuzco. Yeah, I'd be the same as well.
Kuzco would be Maccy, but yes, essentially, there's a strangely large amount of support for you amongst the mortal masses, non-voting though they may be. I believe you had 2 things, Ollie. I want to be doing my thing by past, so if you want to finish up quickly.
Yeah, they're super quick. So I wanted to have a way of getting more heavy weaponry adapted for Terminator armour.
Cool. What was the other one?
And the other one was something to do with the Knights. I wanted to maybe, they're just bigger suits of armour at this point. I know they're not, and I know we can't do the thing because the phone will take us over, but some way of integrating a little bit of the Knight squads as well, and maybe putting them into Havoc if we can find people to pilot the Knights.
If you may recall, Magos Adjutant Relora Favelnim was super happy to organize the Knights, organize the running of the Knights so that they can be essentially slave to Astartes' command. The intent was to take loyal but expendable Imperial Army personnel, give them minimal training and put them into the Knights, and then use those in, not necessarily close cooperation with Astartes, because that is extremely dangerous for you, but to have them act as more shock troops in specific situations where they go in ahead and it's a fight or die thing with the loyal pilots driving them. And then when the Astartes move through afterwards, the area's been cleared or the Knights have been recaptured or things like that. And she's extremely happy to work with you on that. We'll do the heavy... she's also actually quite happy to work with you on the adapting heavy weapons for Terminator armor. In fact, if anything, she seems extremely interested in increasing the number of options you have there.
Awesome.
So I'm going to call that probably 2 separate roles. Let's have a look at Maccy, everyone's favourite company captain, in that he's the only company captain, I believe.
Remember, if you're the only one, then you're the best one.
Technically a company captain.
You've got other company captains. It's just you're technically the only named company. Actually, I don't even know if you do have company captains. We don't have a traditional company structure. So the companies are Murder, which doesn't have a captain, and if it did, it would be Nazeem. Tactical company, which is Coayah's, and he's the grand captain. And Havoc company, which is yours, and then a variety of extra legionary formations.
Can I have the? I guess it depends on how the roll goes. Actually,
A quick side note: when in battle, I would like to default to trying to lead the murder where they can go best.
Really riding that this is your leadership style, where you don't have to do anything but do exactly what the people underneath you want, and what they want is always the same thing, and it's murder.
It's nice and easy, and I get good rep, and it means that when we are in battle, I can turn them at least. I can't stop the mob, but you can turn
That's
them.
fair.
You lead the murder. You don't command it.
Exactly.
No, exactly.
And all at the slow escalating cost of Coayah's sanity.
That's right. It's a renewable resource, right?
Yeah, probably.
Right?
To us.
The only mechanical way to easily lose insanity points is extensive R&R on garden worlds, at least in vanilla. There's arguable ways that you should be able to do it as well, but that's the only way that's explicitly laid out. And
Yeah.
I love the narrative that what Coayah really needs to recover from all of this is a good long holiday. Away from everyone.
From everyone.
Oh,
What's your?
cool. So let's do the weapons first, shall we? So what's the tact you're taking for this? And then you are almost certainly going to get a fairly heavy bonus.
The tact I'm taking for this is, I want to work with the AdMech to try and enhance these glorious... Sorry, Mechanim to, work to make these glorious machines of war as potent as they can be. And you're just the people for it. And I'm sort of buttering them up. I'm taking the whole, let's combine our expertises to create something truly deadly.
I see. So you're not really wanting to be involved with it so much as get them to agree to do it, which they do almost immediately. So here's what I'm going to do, Ollie. I am actually not going to ask you to roll this. I'm sorry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it secretly and then tell you how that goes.
Okay. Uses GM fate points.
100.
Yeah, it's a hundo.
Initially, there's not much in the way of success from your cooperation with Drolora. She's fervently apologetic for this. But as you start to approach the half-decade mark, a number of breakthroughs begin to come through from the Mechanicum. Traditional Grav and... God, what's the other one? Martian rays.
Volkite,
thank you. Traditional Grav and Volkite weaponry, adapted for Terminator suits, a lot of it looking almost new. Your armor's machine spirit seems, for lack of a better phrase, a tad ornery. It doesn't like working with these things necessarily, but the machine spirit also doesn't like being alive particularly. So you're used to working with what it doesn't want to do. And compared to actually having weaponry that is adapted to work with your suits, that fits within your gloves, that can be reloaded as more and more specialized marks of heavy bolter, las cannon, auto cannon, as these things start to come through, including the first shipments of adapted weaponry from Mars over time, long after your Magos adjutant is able to secure something for you, you find yourself perhaps just willing to let the armor's grumbles be.
This is for everyone in the squad, by the way. So Havoc Squad. This isn't just for my company.
Yes, this is for the company. Initially, the first few items, there's not really much more than for you to be able to outfit, first yourself and your couple of favorite sergeants, and then yourself and the sergeants, and then yourself and the sergeants and the first squad, and then so on and so forth, until before you know it, actually Havoc Company is sporting some of the best and most heavily customized weaponry in the Grand Company. A lot of this stuff isn't customized just for Terminator suits, it's customized for the specific Terminator suits being used. That said, a lot of them are potentially ornery about it. You get a feeling for this being plugged into a black carapace that's itself plugged into the suits. The Magi that you deal with assure you that it's nothing other than basic teething difficulties.
Is Creed sort of internally reeing at this, going, tech heresy?
And what was your final one, Ollie? I completely blanked.
If I remember rightly, that was getting the Knights under me. So the Knights become part of my... Okay,
so Drolora is also super willing to co-op with you on this. And you asked for it first, so I think that means you get them under Havoc. It's a question then of how effective that goes. And we're going to do a pretty simple roll on this one. I think that's likely going to be war over intelligence. And... difficult, but you got a lot going for you. I mean, multiple years to sort it out. So we'll call it nose cause draw +0.
I'm only saying this because everyone else has got plus 20s for various things so far. Okay, why would I not get like a good bonus to this? Because I've got good relations with the head of.
She's immediately...
Because the knights want to kill you.
Yeah, the knights themselves absolutely hate your company. As mentioned, part of the reason that you don't deploy in front of them is because if you are in front of their guns, there is an extremely high chance that they will just turn on you. You are currently recycling pilots, because if the pilots are in there too long, their brains are overwritten, and they will just turn on you anyway.
Can I do over fellowship instead?
Yeah, all right.
Because so it's a 40 or under.
A different tack with it.
Yeah, it's a 40 or under. No chance to reroll. I'd make it.
What's your DOS?
I'm rolling at 40 or under. So, 3 degrees of success, I believe.
3 degrees of success. Yeah, this is actually pretty difficult. Not gonna lie, you lose a couple of Marines in early instances, and the army casualties are honestly pretty excessive. But the effectiveness is kind of insane. The mockingly named Knights of Slough, named for the single most depressing ship in the fleet, and where the knights themselves are kept imprisoned most of the time. The mockingly named Knights of Slough prove alarmingly effective, acting as shock troops for Havoc Company.
Now we just need to get some knight-sized graviton cannons.
I mean, they do make them.
Drelora gets a twinkle in her eye the first time you jokingly mention this. Whatever my lord requires.
I like this person.
I'm going to be terrified when they turn on her. They've had their grubs.
Sorry. What's this? Sorry, young Nicholas. What's this? Us?
Us.
Do you think when this all boils over that we're going to be on the same side somehow, young Nicholas?
Me, Cread, and the Apothecaries.
I think we're almost certainly running 2 separate campaigns. One is traitor, one is loyalist. And we'll just run them like alternately or something.
For the sounds of it, it's going to be like one of us going loyalist, whoever that ends up being, because it might not be me, and that person's just going to be living in the vents, occasionally dropping out to try and kill traitors.
That's my plan.
You'll get a big flight.
One of the bonuses of my subcults is I'll have somewhere to hide if the rest of the Legion goes traitor. Maybe I can build a room out of Blackstone in the future.
Oh, yeah, actually, we'll do that very speedily as well. I believe you wanted to be doing experiments with that in your off time.
Yeah, trying to alloy it into a metal while it keeps its effects.
Okay, we're just going to do a simple roll for this because I have a thing. Wrong one. So it's definitely an intelligence roll. We don't have like a science or equivalent, do we?
We have...
No. There's other skill.
I guess... Do we have tech use?
Yes, we have tech use.
Yeah, it's a bit vague, but I think tech use is probably most appropriate here. I'm going to say, even though you've got a lot of time to do this, and you have a lot of people who will help you out with it, including a very helpful Mechanicum Magos Adjutant, the downsides that you have going for you...
I'm Nick.
And you know, okay, actually you do have your Nick. Okay, so we'll call it a net plus 10 rather than a plus 0 then.
Seb as well.
He does have Seb, but Seb's not really great for helping with this. You're doing an immense amount of other shit, and this is very difficult. And also, I think you were slightly wary of having the Mechanicum help, because... Well, actually, if you're slightly... sorry?
Yeah, I was a bit wary of getting most people involved.
So yeah, we'll keep it at a plus 10, only because you have the Psyker who was already looking into this and really succeeded. Okay.
Right.
Fucking hell, has anyone failed a roll tonight?
Yes, but then they've re-rolled it because they're cowards.
Done really well with our pre-campaign.
You
roll.
really
I failed
have.
my odds and evens.
Oh, that's true.
3 successos.
3 successos, okay.
For the record, my aim was to get enough alloys to put like the teeth of the cog in my axe, and if possible, a like under armour coif, so I could wear it over my head.
Yeah, you attempt to work elements of it into an alloy, but the rock is resistant to it. However, with over a long period of time, and with very limited help from the Mechanicum, kind of slowly trying to get them to assist with some bits without allowing them to be aware of exactly what it is they're helping with in isolated parts, and with extensive help and consultation with Nazeem. What you are instead able to do is to make a sort of the cog. So for the teeth of the cog, simple shards are the best thing that you're able to come up with. They're precisely machined and dully coated with a sort of scrapable paste, which you find slightly nullifies the nullifying effects that they have. You don't actually ask where Nazeem gets this from. Nazeem, your pool is a little bit smaller at this point, by the way. But you can, in an emergency, scrape it off to activate the nullifying effects of the cog. You just can't reapply it without getting more from Nazeem, who seems dicey about giving you more for some reason, a bit unclear.
Sorry, what's it he gives me to...
So he gives you like a slight... he gives you a sort of weird slimy substance that you're able to work into a paste that you can coat over the chunks that go into the teeth of your cog.
Paste juice.
Which make it look like it's ordinary, but also, still looking quite high quality, but also slightly suppress the suppressive effects. But if you scrape the paste away, or even white, then yeah, exactly. And then for a coif, you're able to come up with a sort of sophisticated microweave where essentially tiny shards of the rock are wrapped around the cord, and then that is itself interwoven into a sort of quite scratchy, irritating cloth that you're able to place over and around your head.
Cool.
The first iteration of what's the fucking the fucking, was it Black Rage? The Traitor Legion, they have those implants that make them go crazy.
With the butcher's nails and no,
that's not.
No, that's slightly different, but yes.
Don't give Ewan ideas.
So, 14 years have passed since Ballast. You've all been up to a wide variety of things, participated in numerous campaigns and compliances. And now, for the first time in decades, in the year 30.833, the Legion is in almost its entirety, including all of the High Command, being gathered over the world of Moribund. An Eldar Exodite world, onto which your Legion will be dropping en masse, with the aim of thoroughly cleansing it. A large detachment of Custodes is in orbit, waiting to support you should you need it, as the Exodite world has proved resilient, destroying 2 previous minor expeditionary fleets in their attempts to assault and cleanse it. On top of that, you are regrettably expecting reinforcements from the Rout, who will be coming to provide extra numbers should it be needed. You can't see how it will, honestly. This is a supreme destructive force being dropped on the world.
We have all the Grand Captains here, then?
Almost all of them. There'll be a couple who are too far away for this, but the general summons was authoritative, overriding most, but not quite all, minor orders.
Who sent it?
It was sent and sealed by the Sigillite himself.
Ah.
What level are we now? What are we? We're captains still, right? Not Grand Captains.
You are a captain. Coayah is the Grand Captain. You are the company command of the 2nd Grand Company, which basically puts you at company command of the 1st Grand Company is part of the overall Legion command. You're not technically part of the Legion command, but you're the uppermost part of middle management would be the best equivalent.
We're very important, but we're not
and as you
actually in command.
As you arrive at the colossal armada orbiting Moribund. The initial stages of the invasion are already underway, and it is expected that you will be joining the overall Legion command. Anything else would be a slight to your honour. You have not had Wesleland with you for some years at this point. He's been diverted to initially a different expeditionary fleet, and then later you heard recalled to Terra. On your way...
Oh no!
to the Legion's flagship, the similarly named Beating Heart, your craft receives an emergency override. A transmission from a nearby minor custodes ship. You are redirected there.
Oh.
I've done nothing wrong. It's you fucks you got to worry.
Multiple members of the command crew start heavily sweating.
I'm sorry, what have I done exactly?
Exactly, we're fine. Me and Carl, we're like this. Don't worry, shits.
They'll never find me.
You were unfortunately already on the ship being transported over.
They're like, I'm gonna go full vent tiger, it's the only way to be sure.
Turns out there's actually a vent in here with a cult.
Nowhere to hide. Well, nowhere large to hide. It's not a large transport shuttle. As you touch down in the Custodes hangar bay, you are confronted by a small squad headed by Wesleland. He is in full battle raiment, his helmet completely obscuring his face.
Is he ever not in full battle raiment? Like, I thought he'd just always been in it whenever we'd seen him.
I thought he was in no armour when he was on our ship.
Oh, okay. I just had him always standing
I think
there.
he's been in no armour on informal occasions and armour on formal occasions, and his definition of what constitutes a formal occasion is quite loose, so he's probably in armour quite frequently. But there have been a few when he's not. Like, when in your private quarters, I don't think he was in armour.
Okay, I just had this image in my head that he's always in armour.
I can see it.
You've got to imagine as well that even on like a Space Marine sized ship, that's going to get uncomfortable real fast to have that amount of armour just clanging around.
Definitely. But their role is as kind of like political observers come officers, so they have to send a bit of a statement to an extent.
Yeah.
He gestures wordlessly for the five of you to follow him, and begins trooping away. As one, the squad of custodians surrounding him, perhaps 6 in total, take up positions around you and move to escort. They pause for a microsecond, waiting for any sign of dissent.
Oh no, we're going to be following.
Yeah, all good.
Any members of my Havoc squad in there, just by chance?
It's just the command crew.
Just looking at the teeth of my Omnicyrax, a bit like, oh, this probably isn't allowed, is it?
You are marched through a winding maze of golden corridors. The gleam, the brightness is thoroughly disorientating. The corridors seem to lean this way and that, and within 5, 6, 7 minutes you have no idea where you've gone. Even the armor in even the machine spirits in your armor seem confused. Eventually, Wesleland reaches a small, nondescript, and decidedly less golden room. Ill-lit, with a single table and multiple marine-sized chairs scattered along one side. He marches in, and the 5 of you are forced to follow, politely. The custodians take up positions in each corner of the room, and then 2 more behind Wesleland. The door slides shut, and there's an audible latching sound. Space Marines. I was your observer for some years, during the outset of the Great Crusade. The actions I witnessed. Multiple instances of cowardice, incompetence, malice, and even potentially treasonous acts. I found disturbing and often downright disgusting. Only the orders of the Sigillite himself, those given to us observers, restrained me from acting more proactively.
after a long sojourn in terror, I have been given permission to exact a modicum of justice for this. The 5 of you will be diverted to the fighting on the ground. You will serve as line commanders for the duration of this campaign, and are not to be permitted to take any part in the deliberations on the beating heart. Do you have anything to say?
Maccy mutters under his breath, "Finally, some action."
Weslin's head turns slowly, inexorably towards you. Do you think these recriminations are game? Are you glad to be chastised?
Not glad. What do I call him? My liege? Sire? Sir? I want to call him sir. Aye.
Sir
We
is
have only
fine.
one liege.
I'm not glad of these tidings, but one does admit that sometimes the minutiae of running a fleet can get somewhat tiresome, and I will be glad to take this punishment, though not glad to have received it.
I believe what he's saying is we look forward to a chance to redeem ourselves on the battlefield.
Yeah, what he said.
Out of character, like, that's a damn good save.
You had best. With that, he flicks his wrist. The door opens. 2 custodians march out, and you are forced from the room.
Oh,
Before I go, I would just like to turn to him and say, this has not been surprising. Long have I suspected this day might come. Tell me, are the 6th to suffer the same?
Weslin stands resolute in his armour, still and unmoving. You get no reply before you're forced from the room by his custodians, and the door slides shut. True to his word, you are not permitted to join the conference on the flagship, even though a number of more junior Grand Captains, some even actually quite junior, are permitted, encouraged, and in some cases mandated to arrive. Instead, the 5 of you are left to join the brutal fighting on the ground. There is little strategy to it. The world itself wants you dead. It is a never-ending jungle hell, a rolling nightmare landscape, perfectly, completely, and totally adapted to destroy you. The entire biosphere roiling with hatred for the human. Marines die by the dozens, even hundreds on the daily, as the Eldar are manually burnt out and the world cleansed. The rationale for why such casualties is unclear, only that particular grand companies and companies seem forced to the most dangerous fronts again and again and again.
We know why this is happening, though, don't we?
Well, actually, a number of these are
I was going to say that. I was going to do that in character.
Oh, fair.
To like Kuzco or something as a philosophy thing.
Fair, sorry.
I'm not going to reply. Just kind of like a deep sigh. Like, yep, we know.
Quite a number of the companies being forced towards the most hostile fronts, often by overrides from above, are not, in fact, companies necessarily pertaining to the murder, or overrun by it. There are a number that specialize in logistical rationales, or particular forms of urban warfare, a couple which are essentially dominated by their Havoc companies. In the 2nd month of the campaign, the route arrives in orbit, and shortly after, something completely unprecedented happens. The ground forces, including yourselves, lose all contact with the orbiting fleet. It's as though there is a complete communications blackout. One moment they're there, the next the void is gone from you. Not even supply ships are getting through, and many of those that try to fly up to find out what's happening tumble back down into the atmosphere to burn. This leaves you the most senior commanders on planet during this crisis, as the brutal attrition of the campaign grinds on, and Marines are torn apart by the terrifying native saurian fauna. What do? How react? How handle, folks?
So, how much of, Havoc Squad are are down with us, with me, and our various other squads, I suppose.
The entire Grand Company is down here. Fairly minimal Space Marines were left up in were left on the Price of Defiance.
So basically, the entirety of Number 2 Grand Company is down here.
The entirety, essentially, the entirety of Grand Company, the second Grand Company is down here. Most of the first Grand Company weirdly isn't, and those who have at this by the second month of the campaign. A lot of them are dead. They've been forced towards extremely high casualty fronts. The majority of your legion at this point is active across the surface of Moribund. Everyone who could be mustered in time.
So basically, we have all of our havoc. We have all of our a lot of our havoc, a lot of our murder, a lot of our various other.
You probably don't have the knights down here due to the marine-rich environment, for the record. But otherwise, you may consider yourself to have access to any and all resources.
Cool. Have we come across any cities yet, or any life, any living?
A number of Eldar cities, yes. The Exodites on this world have been reinforced by quite a number of off-world Eldar. You're dealing with a conflict in there's probably some millions of them here. Moribund is, on its day, generally a garden world, but the biosphere itself has rallied to fight the Marines, and what is usually a pleasant garden world, entirely adapted to the whims of Eldar life, is now a nightmarish jungle. The cities themselves are concealed often by colossal medleys of tangling vines that weave upwards into the lower levels of the stratosphere, many of which resist even orbital bombardment. You're purging the entire planet mile by bloody mile.
I guess I'm going to turn to Coatlmox. No, sorry, Coayah.
Oh.
That's Benji's character, right? Coayah?
Yes.
Sorry, I keep forgetting.
It's been a while.
And yeah, it seems the attrition isn't. This war of attrition. Do you even think it will result in a Pyrrhic victory? We won't have any company left to command after this.
Brother, I think the idea is there's not a legion to command after this.
So I'm thinking, instead of we are now the highest ranking officers on the planet. Therefore, logically, we assume control falls back to us whilst we are unable to talk to the people above. I suggest we maybe belay the orders of this brutal war of attrition designed, I'm suspecting, to kill us entirely. And we head for high-value targets that we have identified so far, and attempt to potentially cut off the head rather than deal with the many, many, many tendrils.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to this world, brother. Cut off the head, two more grow in its place. This world... Do what you will. I shall watch and see whether or not there is an Imperium for us to go back to.
Do we have any intel on any high-value targets? Any commanders or captains? Basically, the guys with the biggest hats.
God damn it, I hate your fucking giant hat policy. You actually are very much aware of Moribund's capital city. The Imperial codename for it is the slightly boringly designated Morning. It's aspirational. It is protected by, in addition to the aforementioned vine shield, this strange biological labyrinth, a twisting, turning mess of ever-shifting corridors that seem to allow the Eldar through no problem, but which Imperial forces have been reacting to generally how they would react to a siege. There's actually a good number of Havoc companies there, some 6,000 Marines in total, performing long-term siege works, mostly engaged in burning the labyrinth away, meter by meter, manually, as the most surefire way of getting through it.
How long have we been down here?
This is month number 2.
Okay.
Your marine fatalities are in the low to medium thousands at this point, actually.
I suggest we stop having splinter groups and we conglomerate all at the Grand City and turn mourning into something to be mourned.
So, Nazeem being Nazeem, and me being me. It being month 2. Month 2, month 3?
Month 2. End
month
of.
2. Yes. By this time, I would have tried some things, I would have thought, in regards to the nature of the plants reacting and psychic energies and communicating with said plants.
Oh yeah, you're actually having a hell of a time. Meta explanation for you. Exodite worlds have world spirits. Essentially, the planet has a soul, for lack of a better term, and the soul itself is self-aware. Oh. This world hates you. There is a single oversoul, for lack of a better term again, that is animating all of these plants, and that is why they are attacking you. You are aware of this, and it is giving you the worst headaches. It is constantly attacking you on the psychic level.
So, fair enough. But does that mean that... And it's just me not having tons of knowledge on psychers and 40k.
That's fine, I will fill it in for you.
So, the plants are able to be controlled by psychic individuals. Like, could I overpower and then
You're not overpowering the Eldar.
It's I mean, it's not hypothetically impossible, but it's very much you're a child dealing with experts. Remind me, what's your psi rating at? Because not with psi rating 4, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
not...
I'm trying to get it up, but it's really hard in this until we get to like higher XP stuff.
Yeah,
like my psi rating is just
even then. Like, this is an Eldar Exodite world. Like, you ain't seizing control of that shit unless you are
exactly. Well, to be fair, he's talking about local spots of it. But still, that would be very difficult.
I want that vine right there.
But that would still be very difficult. Basically, you're like, okay. This is their whole shtick.
In which case, can I sense similar to like I can say that signal's going over there, that signal's going there, and tell kind of where its focus is and so forth. So
I will let you roll senescience over perception.
Yep.
There's a lot of data, but the data also hates you, so I'm going to call it no score, draw, +0.
Okay.
Oh, are you alright for me to have had my koi font? And just as a side note, has that been affecting the plants?
It's not been affecting the plants, but certainly you have markedly less in the way of headaches than everyone else.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll use my 1 fate point on that. I think it's
Get Hundo.
Yeah, by 1.
You say that's a success by you squeaked it?
Squeaked it.
Cool, 1 DOS. So, you initially attempt to deploy on the planet's surface with the murder, the idea being that there are literally tens to maybe approaching 100,000 members of the murder on the surface of Moribund. This could be the moment where Nazeem goes from the leader of a mob of murderers to the leader of a legion of murderers. But oh my god, the headaches, the feeling of psychic onslaught, the sensation of this world itself assaulting you on the spiritual, astral plane. You are forced to retreat to a command post, overcome by the everything of it all. However, after the first couple of days, you begin to work out rhythms, currents in the way the spirit moves, in, for lack of a better term, its aura. After the first few weeks, you feel you have some level of grasp on interpreting the strands of where they're going, what's happening, how these things are moving. And by the start of the second month, you're using it to spy. By the time we get to the end of month 2, you are supplying some level of data on troop movements that the Eldar don't realize you have. Because as far as they're concerned, you're not fielding psychers, and therefore, even though they've got extremely advanced defenses for this type of thing, they're not really looking for someone able to do the same level of basic investigation that you're currently pulling off. For the record, a normal human under this circumstance would likely explode already, so you're kind of surviving through Space Marine physique and then psychery bullshitting your way to victory.
That's bad.
It sounds like, and I have a thing I need to get to, so it sounds like you have broadly 2 camps at the moment. On the one hand, you have Coayah, who believes he is a tool being thrown away and is thus pursuing his orders dutifully, but with no real enthusiasm, because he doesn't want to die, but he acknowledges that apparently that's what's happening. And then on the other hand, you have Maccy voting, I shall not go quietly into that good night, and we're going to at least try and not throw our lives away. Yeah, we've been expressly ordered, but what if we didn't follow those and instead tried to follow the strategic objective rather than the tactical overrides we keep getting, or kept getting until the command blackout, that instruct us to essentially die?
I think as well, Coayah's, sorry if it didn't come across that way, is slightly depressed about the whole thing.
Oh no, I massively got the Coayah's depressed about the whole thing. You've put in your best to do not just loyal service, but to pull people away from this edge, and it sounds like you're basically politely resigned to death in a way that's more than a little bitter at it.
So I have a question. So it's only because I can't keep the command structure in my head because we're far and beyond 1,000 members of our chapter, right? How so we have in our second company,
in the second grand company,
second grand company, how many? And that's the one that we're in charge of, right? We are the captains of second company, right?
Yep.
Including Coayah, who is totally. How many people, just in general, is it all of the second chapter or second company is down with us, or is it all of the companies inside?
Every grand company within the Legion as a whole that was able to be mustered to Moribund.
Every grand. Okay, cool. That's what I wanted to know. So, and we're now and because we're the second company, I guess the first company is as veterans or whatever, they don't necessarily count here. So that means we have the highest command of potentially tens of thousands of Marines then.
You absolutely do. First Grand Company Command does actually outrank you, but they're all up on the beating heart on the command ship. Actually, also Third Grand Company and Fourth Grand Company's leadership, and Fifth Grand Company's. It's actually a colossal insult. You probably are still a bit pissed off, but you'd maybe be a bit more bitter if the custodians themselves hadn't walked in, rebuked you all, and essentially assigned you to manual labour equivalent for Space Marines.
Cool. So I essentially have command of 9 companies worth of Havoc, and everyone else is
significantly more grand companies than that at this point. You are dealing with there's probably somewhere around early Great Crusade, call it between 40 and 60,000 Marines in the Legion total, the majority of whom are on the planet's surface. You are in command of multiple thousands of Havoc Company Marines across, call it a dozen Havoc companies total of varying size.
Damn. So we have a dozen companies inside the grand companies or whatever it was.
You actually only have 3. So the basically your divisions are a lot more fluid than modern Space Marine chapters will eventually be. The situation is that rather than have lots of companies that subdivide quite nicely, you have multiple uneven companies, and those companies just have lots of squads within them.
Okay. I would appreciate at some point maybe
I can do you a diagram super easily.
Diagram would be
because you've actually got a. It's not necessarily intuitive, but it's pretty easy to draw.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think I've got it now mostly, but a diagram would be perfect. Yeah,
I'll do you one after the session.
Cheers. Cool. So if Coayah isn't going to, you wanted to do a thing.
If it helps to put a number on it, Ollie, call it 8,000 Havoc Company Marines at the start of the campaign under your control. You were losing some hundreds a day. The total Marine casualties for this are
astronomical.
Astronomical, basically. Not all of those are fatalities, and Marines are pretty good at coming back from casualties, but you're I think I worked it out whilst you all were talking. Your total casualty rate, of whom a significant fraction of fatalities, is somewhere approaching a third of the Legion, and due to the way casualties work, as that starts to overtake the number of active service personnel you have down here, that is going to
increase.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you wanted to do a thing first, so...
you know what we'll get...
I decided what I wanted to be doing at the time being.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and find any of the other tech Marines present, form a buddy club with them, with the idea of trying to figure out why comms aren't working, if we can establish them, why ships can't come and go.
So, you know what, I will take a speedy tech use over intelligence test for you, please. We're going to call it a flat +0 just for the sake of speed, but it's not that you don't have a lot of people helping you.
I'll use my last reroll. Oh, terrible.
No.
4 failures.
88. 4 failures. Cool. So, you're doing your best, but there is a complete blackout. You don't really have any explanation for this. Unless the blackout was coming from above rather than below. The Eldar have no way of doing this, at least the ones you've seen on this world, as far as you're aware. These are Exodites. They have help from some kind of craft world, but they're not quite this sophisticated, usually. And the idea that it's coming from above is literally unconscionable. Who is joining in on Mackie's giant assault on the capital?
I'll be helping.
So Nazeem feeding intelligence?
I kind of want to, but only because it's one of those I shan't go into the night quietly moments, but at the same time,
But Carl, think of all the bodies you get to, harvest.
Kuzco there, having run the numbers and gone like, you know what, statistically we have somewhere between 1 and 3 weeks before we're completely overwhelmed, and I don't want to be dealing with casualties the whole time. I shall join the grand assault.
I'd also obviously from the years of pointing the murder in the right direction, as I believe that they're a bit dispersed right now.
Actually,
pointing them all in the same direction so they start to build up again.
Okay.
So I had something to do with that. Something I wanted to do about Space Marine movements.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be So what I want to do is... You go.
No, as long as it's quite quick. So I've
yeah, basically, I do the whole, we should not go quietly into this good night, blah 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 blah. But also, I'm trying to incentivize Marines who aren't the Havoc, because I don't have, I maybe have nominal control over Marines that aren't in Havoc, but Havoc has me more, I suppose. So I'm basically going to be like, accompany Havoc. We shall blast the way through for us to all to have glorious victory.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah.
You're basically pitching a message of sort of hopeful suicide, I guess. The idea is rather than die in 1,000 conflicts, we'll go out in one giant battle, or we'll win, if I'm following you.
Basically, yes.
May I do a roll to see what happens with Coayah?
What role are you thinking?
I was going to roll willpower, and if he failed, he was going to be too depressed to actually get up and fight.
Yeah, man. Love
and
it.
if not, otherwise he was going to man up and go, fuck it, I'm going to mount arrow at this one. I know I'm going to die. I know it's over, but I'm going to go.
Yeah, Coayah, brought to shame as his junior captain in his moment of despair, steps up and marshals the Legion as a whole. Willpower roll, +0. Let's do this, Benji. Obviously, it should be difficult, but...
Coayah passes.
Coayah passes. As Maccy, as I understand, so your pitch then is you're basically going to mass Havoc Company, and rather than nibble away at this, you're going to put all of your focus on getting into the capital, and then pour in whatever troops you can corral after that, and hope the murder does what it actually does best.
Yes, exactly.
I'll be with him on it as well.
I also want to, when I see that Coayah is feeling more himself, I do want to inject something about, what was the title that you had, Benji? Was it like the Night Slayer or something like that?
Slayer. I will say, brother, I thoroughly agree with your plan. But I will say this. When you breach the defenses, me and my company, tactical company, we will launch Danger Close into the center. We will clear the enemy or we will die. The Emperor protects.
I'd like to, something in the speech, Corral talks about how can we lose when we have the Night Slayer himself. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to undermine. I mean, I'm boosting people up.
Yeah, you're acting as a uniting force. Your pitch here isn't, I'm the greatest, everyone follow me. It's trying to get the disparate captains from multiple grand companies. Many of them don't really like each other, don't like being under anyone's command who isn't, from their own command structure, let alone these fucks from second grand company. What do they think they are? Yeah. Your pitch is one of hope and ignoring these senseless orders that have seen unprecedented casualties for the Legion, that have seen fatalities, that have seen waste for gaining ground that easily could have been foregone or exterminatus from orbit if Malcador was willing to sign off on it, that is. There are so many ways this could have been avoided, and this campaign is rapidly turning into the end of your Legion. Mount Ararat, as a phrase, is whispered by more than just Coayah. Tactical company rallies to you. Multiple tactical companies rally to you, those not afflicted by anguished depression as they fight. The Havoc companies naturally rally around their most prominent on-planet member. And this lends some level of renewed hope for at least a glorious end to Coayah. With Coayah some measure back in the fight, he's able to bring a good deal of the rest of Tactical Company with him. And between them and Nazeem feeding intelligence and lending some level of authority with the murder, you're able to redirect tens of thousands of Marines from 100 separate minor, bitty, all-consuming fronts and pointless island wars to this single, climactic siege of morning. In the background, those who resist or point out that maybe we don't all have to die in a dramatic confrontation either are quietly disposed of by loyal consuls.
It's either die in a dramatic situation somewhere in the middle of the woods or die in the middle of a dramatic situation in the middle of a city. There's no two ways about it.
You live long enough to see you become the villain, or you die a hero.
You either live long enough to die in the city, or you die quick enough to die in the woods.
I'm going to take ballistic skill at... You got a lot of heavy guns available, but also you're dealing with an orbital weapons-proof giant shield and the horrifying maze thing. I will give you a net +0, Ollie.
Cool, so...
Intelligence on the maze?
Sorry?
Intelligence on the maze from me?
You know what? Yes, you can have a +10 for young Nicholas's intelligence.
So...
That's a phrase I never thought I'd say.
No one ever did. No, we all thought it would never come.
He's a very smart... Young Nicholas is very, in D&D terms, high intelligence, low wisdom.
Yeah.
In my experience.
We all knew it was coming.
Not to neg too hard.
It's a ruse.
Did you say strength or ballistic skill, mate?
I said ballistic skill.
Ballistic skill, cool.
Ballistic skill with a net +10.
Net +10. Do I get... so my melancholic machine spirit inside my suit gives me a plus...
Absolutely. Your machine spirit as a whole shouldn't make a massive difference, but this puts you in a great position to lead. I will give you a +5 for it. This is absolutely sudden death.
Oh, okay, so 75 or under.
The Eldar city writhes.
Yeah, I think I make that with...
literal... Sorry?
Yeah, I make it.
Literal sky-high metropolis of coiling vines and giant tentacles, themselves so thick they're able to bat entire minor voidcraft out of the sky. Your command post is actually in a ruined destroyer, brought down in the early stages of the siege from low orbit after it strayed a little bit too close, and a particularly strengthy and girthy tentacle wrapped around it and spiked it into the ground itself.
Senpai.
Oh my. What is the biggest gun you think you have available, Ollie?
Probably whatever I can activate on the destroyer, if we're talking about ship-sized guns.
An extremely valid point.
Apart from the fact that you'd want to make sure the reactor didn't go critical. Which it probably might do, given...
They've put a good deal of effort into making sure the reactor won't go critical, asterisk, with asterisk being, we hope.
Obsidian Heart is one of those ships that's disappeared, right? That we can't contact.
You have no access to any of the ships in orbit. Including the Crisis Defiance.
If they're turning over the Obsidian Heart, they're going to find a lot of cults.
They're going to find a lot of psychic brains.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest gun I have...
The Destroyer of...
Destroyer gun,
yeah, with the Destroyer available. Now, the Destroyer doesn't naturally have fantastic guns, but what it does have is a somewhat working engine. With the aid of the Tech Marines on planet,
and we are with you,
you are able to slowly and somewhat stealthily turn the engine very slightly to point towards the city in such a way that it looks like the ship is simply falling over and settling. This takes a good deal of false flag attacks on the other fronts, on essentially sacrificing Marines by the 100 to make it look like you're still trying to manually siege in, but with even greater intensity. Until the first day of the third month of the siege of Moribund, and perhaps the first month of the full siege of Morning, when the ship's reactor stutters to life once again, and the engines start. The plasma drive flares, and the local atmosphere begins to ignite, a superheated blast of air that incinerates and then annihilates a colossal chunk of the maze, and then a massive section of the outer wall of vines Nazeem nearby passes out and begins frothing blood as the world spirit, which arguably should be able to heal from this and, close the gap, is stabbed right in its soul by the sheer amount of destruction delivered in such a short period of time. It goes insane with pain. Made all the worse by the wrecked destroyer now ploughing quite rapidly through the mud of the planet's crust at about 80 kilometers an hour, sluggishly moving its way away from the lines as the main engine, now on, blasts forwards and the reactor rapidly starts to go out of control, carving a superheated glassed furrow through the jungle and the mud, spreading a colossal fire across the planet's equator in a neat Jormungandr-esque ribbon.
Punch the planet, take that, you spirit bitch.
I can officially say that I have now punched a planet.
This would be more equivalent to taking a red-hot scalpel and slicing it neatly around someone's midsection.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Shank the planet.
Shank the planet.
There's a terrible moment of calm as the whole appears through the mists of superheated ash for the first time. And then, almost as one, with only a slight amount of disjointing, a single terrifying cry goes up from the marine lines quietly assembled in dugouts and pits nearby, ready to punch through the gap. The murder is here. Skins! There's no stopping, there's no waiting for Tactical Company to deploy first. But Tactical Company was ready for this, and as Coayah mentioned, and per your gen, you have adapted for rapid deployment in urban environments.
I'm not going to lie, there is just the idea of Tactical riding murder like they're angry horses in my mind's eye right now.
We were all of us are wearing our best armour with our best weapons. One last ride.
As the murder begins surging forwards over the open ground, even as the maze tries to heal itself, running as fast as inhumanly possible, consumed by bloodlust and the chance to go out in one final blaze of rationalist glory.
Nice save.
Over their heads begin to arc the members of Tactical Company, fired from their urban warfare catapults along the rear lines, encased in thick pods or in thicker Terminator armor, surrounded by one-shot slinging mechanisms, cushions that give them some level of ability to be thrown through the air aerodynamically, tiny one-use jets that blast them over the heads of the murder and into the breach, ready to form a gap, ready to hold it until the murder can arrive and begin thronging through the Eldar streets.
Right to the heart.
Which I think probably brings us round to time for a roll from Coayah. Would you like
Anyone else coming with me?
Oh, I mean, Havoc's right behind you. Don't worry, we're destroying the buildings.
I'll be taking rear guard with any tech marines that fancy following me.
Carl, you coming with me?
Actually,
Straight to the heart of the enemy.
I mean,
so you two in the vanguard, the Havoc Company getting ready to move in afterwards as the the catapults are being reloaded.
Well, I don't know if I've got Carl. He seems.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said yeah.
It was an
sorry, my bad. You don't have to, Carl.
I'm happy to go in with Tactical, and
I think to be fair, you're masterminding, Ollie.
Yeah. But I'm thinking about placement of Havoc in that order, I suppose.
I mean, Havoc's also positioned like all around the.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been envisioning it. To be fair, yeah.
Although I'm just going to go ahead and assume that as Havoc of the Legion is all around, probably Havoc of Second Company is positioned near you and your command post so that they can go in and like nab the glory. Is what I'm thinking. This is going for you.
Yeah.
No, I'll go with Benji.
Okay. So I will take a weapon test from yourself, please, Carl, and command of a weapon skill from Coayah. We've been giving everyone +0s for this, so I will give you +0s as well, as you have heavy support and heavy opposition.
Oh, does it have to be melee?
You can do ballistic skill.
Yay.
5 + 10 + 10.
Is it just flat?
That's 2 degrees of success for me.
Actually, your weapon bonuses apply here, so I think, assuming you've got best quality, that's fine.
It's 3 degrees of success then. If we get weapon bonus.
Oh man, it was so close to 7 degrees.
Double, though. That's nice. 6 degrees of success from Kuzco for as he leads the consuls in to fight. And Coayah and Tactical Company on 3 degrees of success. The casualties are horrific. The Eldar, thoroughly unprepared for this, and yet prepared for something, rush to plug the gap. Their warriors are fierce and move quicker than the blink of an eye. Their weapons are deadly, and their craft-weld reinforcements are truly formidable. Not to mention the fact that they have minor tentacles still under their control, and quite a number of Saurian auxiliaries. Any marine who so much as gets a helmet clawed off finds the very germs and microparticulates of the planet themselves clawing at their skin, threatening to destroy or blind them at the very least.
Yep. Quick thing. So I assume do a lot of my Havoc squads still have, or members of Havoc have was it earthquake guns? No, graviton cannons.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
they have the ability to pin one enormous target, and it makes them do a minus 40 for a strength test
That
to get
seems
out.
like very good anti-tentacle weaponry.
And anti-Saurian as well.
Also very true.
Yeah.
So, because we've got I know I'm a bit over, but I'm in flow. And well, I promise we won't go too far over, and I'll try to do the post-search real quick.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it, yeah, I'm fine.
Cool. If anyone needs to duck out, no worries, it's fine. So as Coayah and Tactical Company ride in, supported by Kuzco and a small number of consuls, they begin setting up rapid bulkheads? Beachheads, thank you. Breachheads. Rapid beachheads. Each marine impacting this or that building, some of them killed where they lay by the Eldar. Many more throwing themselves to their feet, rapidly exiting the wreckage of their transporting materials, or, if they're Terminators, simply hauling themselves out of the rubble of wherever they landed. Linking up with their squads, or at least nearby squads, and forming roving death squads, blasting through the streets, trying to clear reasonable areas that the murder will be able to flood through, just to hold the beachhead for long enough. Marine after marine after marine after marine goes down, the casualties spiking. Hundreds die in the opening minutes, but the murder are just behind. There are perhaps a few less scrupulous companies and squads there with tactical at risk of breaking, were it not for the steady threat of Kuzco and the consuls there, ready to execute anyone and everyone showing so much as a hint of cowardice.
Not one step back.
Oh my.
One step
No
forward.
surrender.
Not one step back for references. General Order 52, given by Stalin, with regard to not retreating in front of the Nazis.
Oh. Yeah, it really does not take much for you to come accidentally started.
The casualties mount. The murder are still 5, 10, 15 minutes away. God damn it, young Nicholas. 5, 10, 15 minutes away. Trying to power their way on foot in most instances, but more than a few of them have commandeered vehicles, and there's a number of grand companies where the murder have really taken to bikes. Those are starting to arrive. When the second wave gets there, members of Havoc catapulted in rapidly reloaded instances, bringing with them heavy graviton cannons. Graviton cannons capable of tossing Saurians aside, of pinning the worst of the tentacle offenders, of neutralizing some of the Exodite's most crucial advantage. There's everything in it. Marines die. Morale holds, but annihilation is about to hit. When a familiar, blood-curdling scream crosses the boundary of what was once the tentacle's shield for the city. Skins! As the first member of the murder floods in and is immediately headshot by a D-cannon, the second member rushes past his annihilated corpse and is spiked off into the air by a flickering tentacle, landing miles away within the city walls. And then the 3rd, the 4th, the 20th, the 100th. Within a few minutes, the 1000th. The horde of angry, blood-crazed, suicidal, desperate for death or glory Marines is within the city limits. And at this point, everything's just a matter of time. Ollie.
Hi.
Roll a speedy D100 for me. You are aiming for 60 or under.
30.
The siege, the brutal close-quarters city fighting goes on for 12 solid hours. It doesn't really start to loosen. It doesn't start to ease. There's no sign of things collapsing until a seismic explosion rocks the city. As the ruined destroyer finishes its slow circuit around the world's equator, it impacts the city on the other side.
Hell yeah!
Incredible.
Grinding straight through the tentacle shield and causing the world spirit a final bout of all-consuming pain, driving it mad. Its loss of control is not permanent, but it is complete. The Exodite's auxiliaries, their tentacles, their saurians, their command of the biosphere, is no longer utter. As one, they lose unity. Now it's the Eldar and a shit ton of confused dinosaurs and mute tentacles versus maybe 25,000 pissed off space marines.
And that's all great.
Pissed off, skin-hungry space marines.
There's at this stage... sorry.
I was going to say, if I get a chance to take the head of the Eldar leader, whoever made that BB, I'd like to get that chance. But
you know what? Here's what we'll do. Everyone who is inside the city, which I think is everyone apart from Nazeem and maybe Coatlmox. It's unclear whether he would have been in or...
Am I not in the city?
You've been having to deal with every time the world spirit's crushing oppression, basically, that other people haven't.
If we cleared a clear entrance, I would have gone into the city. At the very least, to stare at the alien tech.
So for everyone else then, here's what we will say. The person who claims the Eldar leader's head can be whoever gets lowest on a D100. And if there's no clear winner, you all roll absolutely abysmally, then we'll say, if everyone rolls 80 or above, then Nazeem gets it, somehow.
Hundreds.
I don't make that. That's alright. I don't need the head.
Fucking hell.
Come on, someone get a 1. Someone get a 1.
I'll fake that.
75 from Maccy.
17.
Oh, close.
8 from Coatlmox. 17 from Coayah.
I like the idea I'm just busting through the door, looking for the thing that will give me redemption, and Cread is already just smashing the piece.
Yeah, you and Cuzco bust in from 2 doors either side of the room as I'm taking the head off.
It's like, but you were in the rear guard. How did you get that hit? What? How?
Your mistake. I'm sorry.
Maccy's there just like, it's fine. I was at the back commanding, helping lead everyone. So I made it a little bit late to the city.
For the record, you're absolutely getting the credit for this, Ollie. So your mistakes there then, clearly from these rolls and what I'm seeing with the 8 from Coatlmox is that Coayah and Maccy was actually commanding things. Coayah was leading from the front. And Kuzco was also kind of leading from the front, but just slightly behind that. And therefore both of you were occupied in doing practical tasks, whereas Coatlmox was able to come in the rear guard, figure out which area was most likely to have the leader, and then just go straight there, instead of street for street fighting along the brutal front line for the better part of a day, until the void ship came right back round and impacted the city from the other side.
I do feel like that's a Cread thing to have happened. I do feel like the numbers rolled how Cread would have acted.
At the moment that the Eldar leader is destroyed, somewhere in the city a particularly large crystal is annihilated, perhaps by Havoc Company, perhaps by the murder, perhaps by studious members of Tactical. Though I suspect at this point of the campaign, there's comparatively little difference between tactical and the murder, between the consuls and havoc. Everyone's just another pissed-off, betrayed, angry marine, alone in the dark, with the Eldar, the dinosaurs, and their own rage.
As well, this is the Eldar. These are the people who humiliated us at Halakan.
Can I get a speedy perception check, please, from Coayah? You get a +40.
Oh, just quickly.
Yeah?
Do I have some sort of dagger or weapon off the Eldar leader as a trophy?
Absolutely,
Right,
and
with-
one Wraithbone dagger.
That is 6 degrees of success, am I rolling?
Coayah.
I get a +40. Is it a slight base test?
It was a site-based test.
Cool, yeah, I wouldn't be a captain.
Broad coalition of different Eldar turned up to support Moribund. It wasn't until the assault on the capital that you noticed several wearing a familiar livery. The same craft world that humiliated you during the Halakan campaign. How do you want to approach defeating multiple Eldar from that world? Just give me what is your emotional state? Where are you at on that? So we can see what...
Are we taking prisoners in this stance?
You
or
are
are they
not taking prisoners. This is a commanded campaign of extermination.
Do we know what spirit stones are yet? Do we have any idea?
No. In fact, I think at this point, some of you...
I think Nick's been eating some.
Yeah.
Ollie's been doing it.
I just
Okay.
remembered.
Oh, yeah.
I have some embedded on my armour.
Do indeed.
Oh my god, I'm wearing a Gyrinx pelt as well.
You are indeed.
Oh yeah, I think we all had some pills, didn't we?
You did all indeed. Yes, you made those the official officer's uniform. They're used throughout the Legion.
Fuck the Eldar.
We were meant to be the ones who were the best to contact them with. We just contact them with our swords instead. I love it.
So,
Okay.
where are we at, Coayah?
So, first things first, Papa wants a new cloak, a very splendid one, so I'm going to have possibly the most splendid Gyrinxes brought before me when we're all done.
Genuinely
But more than
thought
that...
you were going to demand Eldar skin.
Oh, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm just going to have as many Eldar from that bloody craft world as I can brought before me, and just have a massive big skin.
Tactical companies seem unsure, but you've never led them wrong before. Maybe it's okay to skin as long as it's Eldar.
This isn't lust, this is payback.
Slippery slope.
Motivation
Whatever.
makes the
Whatever.
difference, he cries, as he holds a hand out for his tragically underused flensing knife to finally get a little bit of action.
Skins for the skin squad.
It's as that large crystal is destroyed. Add yourself a new best quality Gyrinx pelt as you have your pick. And on the Eldar skin cloak, I'm not going to give you a number. I think it's better left to the imagination. You can call it the cloak of many Eldar if you like. But it's only... not even the finest skin.
I'm not thinking like a cloak here. I'm thinking like a big ass flag, which I'm going to have made into a banner, which I'm going to have called Halakan Avenged.
Make a
Talking like
tapestry on it
patchwork.
of the battle.
Yeah, basically. Well, perhaps not a tapestry, but like a big flag.
Okay, a flag. I thought you were saying like a Bayou tapestry style thing.
No, but like a big flag.
You just made Ollie roll his eyes. So, oh dear. Yeah, okay. Define big for me, Benji. Give me a meter count.
It's a Space Marine flag, so I'm sort of looking at like sort of old school banner that hangs down. So maybe 10.
You can do ceremonial rather
5
than
by 5.
practical.
5 by 5.
5 by 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Add yourself the 5 by 5 banner of Halakan Avenged, made from the skins of only I forget the actual name we gave to that craft world, but only the Eldar craft worlders available at this battle.
Signature gear.
Sorry?
5 by... Just adding it to signature gear.
I was imagining this one. Those people are kneeling down.
Skin.
Yeah, you can
Best
get big boy
quality.
flags.
Yeah, that was the largest one ever discovered of a sunken Spanish galleon, I believe.
I was going to say, that's Spain, isn't it? I see Castile's emblem. As the crystal is annihilated and the tentacles around the city begin collapsing, some of them down, many of them onto your troops, many of them out in different directions, or just spasming and flailing, falling away as the world's defenses collapse. At least for now. The world spirit's still going to be angry, and even, if anything, even more hostile after this, honestly.
You don't say.
Those of you in the command crew receive something over your helmets. It's a Vox transmission from orbit. Coming through from the custodies. It seems there has been a terrible accident. You are commanded collectively to withdraw from Moribund, and the world is going to be declared quarantined. A lost cause. I don't know if anyone else saw Ollie lean forward and his camera begin to shimmer with rage. I don't know how he did that, but...
No, for me he got so angry that it just disconnected. I had cams and now they're gone.
It is extremely difficult to begin pulling the murder out. But these orders are countersigned by the Sigillite himself, again, cancelling out the initial order that brought you here.
Motherfucker.
My cheery disposition is slowly disappearing.
The evacuation is honestly a less messy affair than it could have been. It's difficult to get the murder to withdraw, and Materiel is in interesting states, but the back of the Eldar resistance is broken, and the world spirit is so busy lashing around in pain that it's not actively knocking your transports from the sky so much as it was on the way down. In Orbis, you are commanded to arrive on the Beating Heart for debriefing. Again, by the custodies themselves. Roll 20 freaked out.
Everyone's gone.
The five of you, along with actually the surviving leadership of the assorted other grand companies, and there's not that many of them, arrive to find a scene of abject horror. The rout recently arrived have control of the Beating Heart.
Say again, sorry?
The rout. It's the legion that will eventually become the Space Wolves. Recently arrived, as you may recall, they turned up just before the communication blackout. Have control of the Beating Heart. And there are extensive signs of fighting. Body parts, clearly butchered ratings, bolter shells, chainsword gouges, and no sign of really any of Legion leadership. Worse still, it is transparently clear from the custodies scattered throughout the area and their ranks that they are not being chastised for this. Instead, you and the other leaders of the grand companies, as well as some more minor from companies that no longer seem to have leadership, are brought to the Beating Heart's central chamber. A grand room for discussion of the Legion as a whole. And addressed by a more senior custodian than Wesleyan, who simply declines to give his name, moving straight into naked speech. We have gathered you here today to inform you of a most pernicious treachery. During your sojourn on the planet's surface, and the campaign as a whole, a treasonous plot was uncovered amongst elements of your Legion's leadership. A plot that we believe was aimed at assassinating senior members of the Imperium. Potentially the Sigillite himself, and, pending investigation, even the Emperor. The rout has assisted in purging this rot. Your Legion's leadership and all suspected traitors have been summarily executed. A scattered few will be taken back to Terra for questioning and intense interrogation. As we speak, the remaining suspected parties within those of your forces deployed to the surface are being arrested and disposed of. You who are gathered here are the most senior remaining leadership of your legion. It is our opinion that you should be allowed to remain under the basis that we have no reason to believe you were involved in your betters' treachery. We think that some of the questionable orders they were falsely distributing on our behalf were intending to purge loyalist aspects of the Legion, make it easier to indoctrinate people into their plot. You are being told all of this, even though it is a matter of the utmost state secrecy, not because we expect you to disseminate it to the rest of your Legion. As far as they are concerned, this was a Craftworld counterattack. A tragic accident that the Rout and the Custodies did their best to save your loyal leadership from, but were unable to. No, we are telling you this so that you may know that this is what will happen to any and all traitors, and should our beneficence prove misplaced, that we will be ready to render you the same service.
I just like to sneer.
Fortunately, your helmet obscures this.
I'd like to make the snort of derision as well.
A nearby Rout member steps forward. A Custodes moves to step between the two of you. The more senior...
Sorry, you say...
Sorry?
Sorry, I'll be at an awkward time. Did they say they've been arresting most of our legion?
They just killed them all.
They have executed most of them. In what... I mean, they say executed. It transparently looks like there was a colossal pitched battle.
But not
They're saying our original orders were a farce to get rid of loyalists?
Yeah, even though they would have been upstairs on the room looking down at all the orders being given as well. So, I mean, it's clearly bullshit.
Yeah. It's our backstory, remember?
Yeah. And the only people who've been arrested are the ones who were thought to be part of the conspiracy, inverted commas, who've just come up from the planet, but not everyone's been arrested.
It's comparatively few. You guys are not under arrest. You're being told of this as hey, this information is going to be repressed. You need to know, because know that we're watching you.
Oh yeah, we're watching you back, fuckers. We won't forget this.
Oh yeah, if everyone wants to add, I guess, unilateral enemy Custodes, I feel like you hate them, they don't necessarily hate you, they don't really think about you.
Kuzco will remember this.
Yeah.
At this point, Weselin steps forward from behind the more senior Custodes. As the most senior surviving loyal members of your legion, the leadership of Second Grand Company will henceforth be Legion Command. You are otherwise allowed to sort your formal structures as you will from here, and will be granted a 2-month suspension of duties to reorganize your companies and get your legion ready to embark upon the Crusade once more.
I'd like to take my helmet off if I can.
Sure. A number of other lesser Grand Captains follow in solidarity.
Wouldn't I just like to throw my helmet on the floor in front of them?
The Custodes...
I could understand.
Sorry?
I could understand if we were all to die gloriously. A broken legion. A mistake. By a man. But this? Holding the leash of a rabid dog and setting it on a cripple. We were uncontrolled. Slipping towards madness. I can understand this, but you hold the worst of us in your hands, and you wield it as a small boy pushing sticks at rats. What will your excuse be when they turn on you, and do far worse than we ever have?
Several members of the Rout lunge forward at that. The Custodies go to step between them. I'm going to say, I think you are setting the tone here. The rest of the Second Legionnaires are hanging on your every word. How do you react to the rout? Ready for blood.
I assume they've not got weapons.
They've got weapons. I think honestly, it was a pretty speedy acquiring everyone, so I think even you have weapons and the Custodies has weapons.
In which case, I'm going to use my weapons to block them, but I'm not going to, actively fight back. I'll parry their attacks, but I'm not going to look to get openings and kill them.
That's fair. Okay, so as the Custodies move to try and stop the rout, and the rout rapidly lose control, the Legionnaires around you, unless anyone wants to break ranks, likewise hold their temperament, fending the rout off even as you make presumably cold, unblinking eye contact with the emotionless helmet of the senior nameless Custodies who pronounce
Can I do that thing where you're much bigger and stronger as a person, where you grab their head and they're trying to hit you because presumably they're wearing normal armor and I got Termi armor on.
You know what? Actually, that's pretty fair. Yeah, you're and a number of you are even wearing Terminator armor.
Yep.
I was about to say, you're not that much bigger than them. If anything, Space Wolves tend to be quite big. And then, Terminator armor does make a bit of a difference there. The fighting calms down after a short period. The Custodies holds up a single hand for silence. We need to investigate the records kept aboard your flagship. It will therefore be turned over to the rout for safekeeping until
our ship?
The Beating Heart itself, yes. This ship.
Keep it. Hide your charnel house of lies wherever you would like.
Grand Captain, you forget yourself.
I don't think I have. I think I know perfectly where I stand. I am but a tool for the Emperor to use and discard of at his time. I think you forget just what you are using for this. If you had chosen the Iron 10th, or 4th, or 13th, even the 12th I could understand. At least they will never slip the leash and bite the hand that feeds. But this cavalcade of monsters and fools. Us, them, the 9th will all disappear before the end of the Crusade. There is no doubt of that.
Grand Captain.
But at least
Legion Master, you grow close to treason.
I'm going to go up to Coayah and sort of just how well I can gently do anything in the suit of armor, but comforting giant hand on shoulder, something like that.
You can still put a hand on his shoulder, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Sort of, I don't know, chapter ruin signal at him. Some comfort, maybe.
So, Coayah, as you're getting ready to potentially die a death of principle against the Custodies, you feel a single massive hand on your shoulder. On the shoulder of your, I believe, master-crafted artificer armor. As Maccy places a single gauntlet, commiserating that now is not the time and your legion needs you. It's wordless, but the intent is clear. It sounds like you let the Custodies have his silence. He gestures for the assaulted members of the 2nd Legion to be taken away from the ship, as your flagship is confiscated and turned over to the rout. That feels like a good place to leave it. I know we ran over very slightly.
Note to self, get a new flag in future when possible.
I like how, Benji, your speech made the rout do exactly what you said the rout were going to do at some point later in the future.
It's not actually my speech, I was cribbing it from Khan from one of the Horus Heresy books.
I was thinking Benji's making a really good speech here. I was like, oh man, I
thought it
wasn't
was
prepared
very well
for this. And then, like, of course obviously I'm assuming you, like, cribbing, so you're not, like, literally taking it verbatim, but massive Khan fanboy that I am, of course I 100% fall for that. Cool. Anyone have any reminders they want sorted for when we begin campaign number 4?
Fuck the custodies.
Yeah.
Make myself a brand new Space Wolves flag.
Out of Space Wolves.
Yes.
Is that the tradition now? Whenever you suffer a humiliating defeat, the defeat's not avenged till you make a skin flag out of the people who humiliated you.
Yes.
I think
me.
that,
Yeah.
All in favour? Aye.
Skins!
More
That's why the bird now collects skins.
paraphernalia now.
I can't wait to make a
All of the
flag out of
murders-
those route wolves.
The murder collects the skins to make the giant flag out of.
Okay, any other reminders?
Fuck them route wolves. They can't be any better than us, surely.
Ilakan has been avenged.
Have you seen our murder? Then no way they're better than us.
Actually, on that subject, I forgot and I should have added, I did not plan to dish out titles, and naturally I'm afraid you're not getting campaign medals for Moraband as the campaign was aborted manually by High Command. But I think it's inarguably clear that one person here has definitely earned themselves an epithet through the course of that. So, Maccy. I'm just assigning people epithets at this point, so if I don't know if people want to give themselves like a list of epithets they've earned, but Maccy, if you'd like to add the hero of Moribund. Within the Legion, that name carries a sense of loathing and betrayal and confusion, but they remember the one shining light that got them through that fucking hellhole. And on top of that, if everyone would like to add a single fame point, and Maccy can have 2.
How do you spell Moribund? Morrubund?
Moribund is... Where are my campaign notes?
Moribund.
Yeah, it's just a standard spelling.
Fame or renown?
Sorry, renown.
Oh, my renown keeps getting reset.
Yeah, I think you have to. I said
Five
keep
now?
keep it in, because there's a gender thing on the sheet. So I would say just put it in that, because Space Marines.
Space Marines.
I'm putting it in power armor history.
I mean, you can put it there. You might get power armor history at some point, but if you don't have it, then it's not an issue. Like, as long as you're keeping track of it somewhere that's not the renown thing, because for whatever reason that's bugged, it likes to reset it.
Is it company renown or personal renown?
Renown is personal.
What we're at the base level, because like I haven't done anything special to get extra.
I don't remember, I'm afraid.
I think we're on 2. Personal
No,
renown.
we're on more.
3 company renown.
Some of you are on more. Like, Ollie got 2 last campaign alone for his shenanigans. Coayah got 2 last campaign alone for his shenanigans.
If the unlabeled number in power armor history for me is fame, then I was at 3. You count me as that. I've
I
moved
think
to
I'm on
gender
5. Mine says 5.
I might have to actually take some time, just listen to the last half hour of every session or something. Every campaign ending session. I think it's probably on me. I'll try and find some time to do it. Any other reminders?
Guess we've got to figure out the company structure by next week.
It's fine. It's basically working as it does now, but now you guys are in command of the Legion itself. The first company was basically annihilated, so it's up to you whether you want to, I guess, leave that vacant in memoriam, or if you want to move yourselves up to be the new first Grand Company.
Ooh, that's a good shout.
We could always just leave it vacant in memoriam. The Martyrs.
Oh, that's a good name as well.
I believe that's what we agreed on at the beginning of Legion Gen, to be fair, as well.
I
Cool.
do not remember.
It was a while ago. Any other reminders for the next campaign? No? Fair. Cool. Feedback. Anything you liked, anything you disliked, anything you'd like to see more of or less of next time?
That was a fucking excellent session.
I'm glad people liked it. I hope it was okay. I've been trying to, obviously I was a bit rushed at the session start because I missed time my walk home, and I hope the betrayal went okay for everyone. I wanted the salt to be very, fuck, I hate these guys, but also agency.
Yeah, I gotta admit.
You go, Carl. You go.
I was just going to say, it was the self-righteous way in which you gave the monologue for the quote-unquote debrief of it that, I say that more than anything, just made me want to punch him in the face.
Beautiful.
The one that got me was counselling the campaign literally as we claimed victory, and then being sold a literal crop of bullshit as they were upstairs, looking at all these orders being played out and not once going, that seems like not our orders.
They used the fucking route.
And they used the route.
The one legion that can be argued as worse than ours. I mean, the Eaters of the Dead are technically worse, but they're just creepy. They're not, actively disobeying orders at all times.
What was their basis for calling us traitors and executing the Legion? Was it that we disobeyed their orders when we dropped comms, or was it our previous action?
They accused you, or they accused your leadership of marshalling a plot that was probably intended to assassinate Malcador and potentially intended to assassinate the Emperor himself. They also did this with absolutely no evidence presented to you. They just said, yeah, that's what happened.
Trust us, bro.
I see.
No, but yeah, if I recall correctly, they were all preparing to go on a mission through the webways, at which point the custodians pretty much were like, oh shit, we don't need these guys, let's just stab them in the back.
Yes, your gen reason was that you were originally supposed to be the webway deployed arm of the Space Marines, but then as the Crusade wore on and the need for that became less urgent and secrecy around the Imperial Webway project got tighter, it became pointed out that the single greatest issue with security about the project were the thousands of not particularly reliable Space Marines who knew within the Legion in some capacity.
We probably wouldn't have been purged if the rest of the Legion hadn't turned out to be kill crazy skin maniacs.
And although it did provide a wonderful casus belli for something we decided on in Gen. And as a result, everything.
We don't know of the Imperial Webway project, our command team.
You guys do not. You were the highest ranking people in the Legion who did not have a need to know. And then, so I know we're getting to narrative stuff. Does anyone have a theory on what may... Yeah, do you know what? Fuck it. We've already discussed this. As you may guess, your boy Wesselin with his peer relationship, even though the first, I think we went up to 6, 7 grand companies in order, all had their leadership teams purged. And even knowing that you were going to hate him regardless, Wesselin with his peer relationship with Coayah swooped in and advocated on your behalf as they don't know anything and they're really not that bad. And look at all this evidence I have. What if we just stick them on the planet's surface, execute everyone else, and then we'll at least have someone vaguely competent leading.
Plus, they might die anyway on the planet's surface.
Well, needs must.
So that's Wesselin's everyone gets one with their peer relationship. Even though I think you all hate him now. Sorry, Nicholas?
I have a double-sided sword for the likes-dislikes.
Yeah, please.
I really liked the just more psychic bullshittery. Always love it. I love that you let me do that. But the just being conked out for the end of the fight was a bit bad. I'm
so sorry. That's World Spirit shenanigans. I didn't consider it when I pitched this on an Exodite world, and by that point I was in too deep. I should have changed it, especially as you were doing psychic bullshit. That should be a vanishingly rare situation. And I will do my best to absolutely avoid anything like that again. Super
a situation where less powerful human psychics would straight up just be having strokes.
Yeah, rather than successfully spying on the world spirit. For the record, that was... I appreciate that it might be oh, hey, this is cool if you're super aware of moderate Eldar knowledge, but if you're not, then it can still... And even if you are, but don't necessarily like how it's implemented, that it can still just feel oh, I was just put in a hospital bed for the last fight and I had to miss out. So yeah, the feedback entirely merited, and thank you for the point. Anyone have any other feedback? No, cool. So on my end, I know I promised to blast through this quickly, and I'm super trying. I absolutely loved everything from everyone. I think we were really good with the rapid roleplay this time, and oh my god, we had a lot of good speeches and in-character moments, and I was kind of thinking at the end, oh fuck, Benji's going off on the big shoot me in the face speech, and he's putting his ethics first and foremost, and he's totally going to get killed by the custodians. How do I have a way around this? Please, someone put a fucking hand on his shoulder and get him to shut the fuck up. And then that exact moment that I was trying to work out how to, breadcrumb that, Ollie's there, mate.
I was about ready to start trying to smack people with my axe as well.
I was considering just killing. I was considering killing the first route member that jumped me.
I'm not
going to lie.
I was ready for that to disintegrate into a riot, and my brain was going, okay, this is going to be a riot. That's why we're going with this, and that's going to be a pretty fucking devastating riot because these are hopped up, pissed off, angry Second Legionnaires versus Rout, who have just been through a much less grueling campaign, but
are also a bunch of kill crazy maniacs.
And they're super self-confident at the moment. And the Custodian's just trying to calm things down because they need the Second Legion not completely useless.
I mean, I probably would have swung at a Custodies just to see if I could hit them with my null spikes.
Oh boy. So good de-escalation there, basically. Benji, the single thread of non-kill crazy. Oh dear. Cool, yeah, so I absolutely loved basically everything from everyone. Questions? Anything anyone was narratively unsure of in that session? Is everyone following the plot?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. I've got a much more...
just quickly.
Yeah?
There were signs of battle on the ship, right? Was that because some of our Legion was still there?
Yeah, your Legion command was still on board, as well, like ancillary smaller...
okay, so that was all the command who were there for the war table.
Yeah, exactly. What was I going to say? Yes, I do have something much lighter planned for next campaign, and there are a couple of arcs tied into this as well, which Benji and I have workshopped. So next campaign should be fun. We've got some fun cameos, and it's going to be on more of a hijinks-esque scale and a little bit less high drama. And
the very least campaign request I'm going to send you.
Shoot. Cool. Any other narrative questions? No.
I liked it.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. I'm super happy with that. I'm sorry. I'm gloating a little bit here. I was really pleased with how most of the things this session went. Oh man, I've been really nervous about how to do that fucking payoff.
And we didn't die.
I love the use of what's the biggest gun you have access to? Shit.
I was not prepared for that. It was supposed to be okay, let's contextualize these tentacles that I've just added. And yeah, they knocked a ship out of the sky. That's pretty dramatic, right? Oh, that'll never come up again. Oh boy. Cool. So we actually did your plot time skip XP last time, so we won't double dip on that, but we will do still the rest of the stuff. Plot progression. Does anyone feel it made a significant plot progression this session?
What's the betrayal?
Yeah. We took a city.
We
felt like we were winning the battle.
We shut down we redeemed ourselves by killing the Eldar clan or homeworld that embarrassed us.
Yeah, Hillikan has been avenged.
Skin flag out of them.
That's all valid points. Needless to say, entirely unaware, at least initially, until rumours of the truth begin to leak out. With that last-minute pullout...
Yeah, that's what she said.
God, with that last-minute pullout... Most members of your Legion are doubtless going to refer to this campaign as the betrayal at Moribund. Members of the command crew internally wincing every time it's called that. Cool, character development. Does anyone feel like you developed your character this session? And if so, how?
Coayah became suicidally depressed.
Nazeem has new and strange feelings about plants and planets.
Maccy...
Weirdly phrased for Tentacle World, honestly, but okay.
Maccy took on a more leadership role.
Yeah, I love the twin sides of Maccy's evil plan, which are simultaneously manipulate for political power at all costs and just be really heroic, but it's still an evil plan.
It's not evil, it's just putting gentle pressure on all the right points.
The reminder you put down was become Grand Captain at all costs.
And all costs happens to include right now politically manipulating your friends and becoming a hero.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Kuzco...
Is it manipulation when we want it?
Sorry, Carl?
I was just going to say, Kuzco kind of had the same developmental arc. Like,
Yeah, you
turned
stuck with
into-
it. Oh, sorry.
huh? I thought, like, what? Sorry, I don't know if this is what you said, but I heard, yeah, you sucked with it.
No,
You
sorry,
stuck
I
with
said you stuck
Oh.
with it. Like, you set yourself the thing at the end of the last campaign of like, oh, I'm going to be nicer to humans and more inclusive. And then you actually, like, went through with that and you know, progressed on it. There were also, like, sinister undertones of social engineering, but personally I blame NFTs for that.
Yeah.
Fucking blockchain.
Yes, the blockchain made Carl do it. Cool. Excellence of roleplay. Does anyone feel like anyone else roleplayed particularly well this session?
Benji's monologue.
Yeah, I don't care if it was cribbed, it was great, and the delivery was very good too.
Of course you don't care. It was cribbed from your favourite character.
I love Karn. Karn's easily one of my favourite characters in 40k, maybe my favourite.
Khan shit talking the Space Wolves straight to their face is just the best.
Karn shit talking everyone straight to their face. Karn, they don't call him Karn the level-headed for nothing. Any other excellence of roleplay?
Ollie.
Yes. John,
Sorry?
you first.
I was just say, Ollie's taking control of the battlefield.
That was beautiful.
It was a lot of fun.
I really love the interplay of fucking Ollie and Benji in that section of Coayah like depressedly doing his duty but really unhappy about it, and Maccy. I mean, we said it. It's the fucking line. It's not going quietly into that good night. Like that was fucking out with a boom or not at all.
Damn, fucking straight. I really liked Nick's brain library and the excitement he had at getting into it with those tentacles. Just really into those tentacles. And
Bit of hentai action there.
right? Exactly. Senpai.
God damn it.
I, for one, am also rooting for Nazeem's secret how many times can I betray Coayah within a single time skip plans.
I also, I don't know if it counts as like roleplay, but Creed's, I guess it's the way the cults were made, and and also at the very end when the ship was being taken, and we thought it was going to be the ship with all our secrets on that we don't want them to discover, and it turns out it's the other flagship that we don't care about, and everyone went, "Oh, it's fine." That was great.
It's such a slight on your honor. Your Legion's flagship has been given to the route to, I don't know, spray
Yeah,
dog
but they
piss.
haven't got our cults or our brains, so it's fine.
If they were trying to take our flagship, I would have rioted.
Yeah, we kill them right there and then.
How many Space Marines and Terminator armor do you have to take a Custodes?
It depends on the custodies.
Yeah, but
Or?
you were like, you weren't dealing with, oh, this is maybe we can take him. You were dealing with, this is an assassination strike force consisting predominantly of Custodes with Space Wolf support sent to kill your Legion. So these were not easy targets, and they were also like low-key prepared to have to kill all of you.
It honestly depends on the custodies is how many you would need. There is a very infamous scene in one of the Horus Heresy books where a World Eater kills an armoured Custodes whilst not wearing any armour, and it is the
I've heard
dumbest
about this.
fucking thing in the
Yeah.
universe.
I mean, I generally look at it as like the equivalent of how many regular people does it take to kill a space marine, like just
One
scaled
with
up, you know?
with a sharp stick if you get lucky.
You know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, I think Carl's not wrong, because
Yeah.
the Custodes is the Mercedes to the Space Marines Ford Model T. The Space Marine shtick is that they are mass producible for what they are and amazing. The Custodes are bespoke and amazing. And these ones were also specifically gathered and grouped together with a goal of purging your Legion. So you did not have the numbers for those who were available, but also they weren't trying to kill you. In a riot, their goal would have been, at least initially, to try and stop the two groups rioting. But it's difficult when that's a large group of the blood is up on both sides. Fucking
Space
Second
Wolves,
Legion and
actually,
Space
too,
Wolves, yeah. Cool. Any other excellence of roleplay? I think Carl had one a second ago. He didn't elaborate.
Yeah, like, I can't remember the exact words, but Ollie, like, it was when we were getting our orders to go down the planet, and Ollie was just like, fuck yeah, time to go and get some action. And he was like, oh, you're excited about a punishment, are you? And Cread was just like, no, we are just encouraged to make amends or atone
Regain
for us.
our honour. Yeah. That was a great save. That was what Carl said, that was a great save, and I was like, yeah, couldn't agree more.
Fair. Cool. So I think that's full XP this time around. So I make that out to be 190 experience points for session number 26. It's 30 points of plot progression, getting to the betrayal and avenging Halakan, and the betrayal at Moribund. 30 points character development. That's Coayah becomes suicidally depressed, Nazeem dislikes plants and spirit planets, Maccy took on a leadership role, and Kuzco continues to become nicer. 30 points excellence of roleplay. That's Benji's monologue. Ollie's taking control of the battlefield, and Nazeem's heretical brain library shenanigans. Coatlmox's cult. Coatlmox's great save for Maccy's massive foot in mouth. Plus 100 standard. Which very speedily brings us on to everyone's favourite part of the session. It's the highlights. Benji, do you have any highlights for that session?
Alright, just sorting puppy out. Come back to me.
Entirely fair. Cool. Nicholas, do you have any highlights for that session?
A twin sigh of relief. Perfectly timed, me and Creed.
Dear. I assumed that was out of character.
I don't know. If emojis exist, I feel like it's like I privately send one to Coatlmox. It's just like a cold sweat and then a fist bump.
I'm sure they exist somewhere. I'm not canonizing that you can send emojis via your helmet comms in meetings. I'll never be able to hold a scene seriously again. It just won't happen. Any other highlights here, Nicholas?
Tentacle Forest, just in general.
Did you like the terrain that you last had to deal with on Thawer, on the world you killed?
Beautiful. It's a home away from home.
Like coming home.
Any other highlights here, Nicholas?
Not to take it, but I love the I've got a big gun, a ship.
What's the biggest gun you have? Well, I have a destroyer.
I've summarised it as I can't do the two-part quote. Anything else?
Yeah, I was trying to do it without a comma. And skin flag.
I mean, almost anything out of context. Cool. Carl, do you have any highlights for that session?
Hentai planet.
God damn it.
Last minute pullout.
On the hentai planet, it's just a phrase and a terrain you don't need going together. Or do, maybe, I don't know.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Equal parts glad that no one watches us and we're not monetized, because we'd never last if either were true.
Have you seen some of what was his name on Critical Role? Some of his skits.
A Critical Role can get away with shit. We are not Critical Role. Any other highlights, Carl?
Self-righteous monologue.
Which one?
I was thinking the one where we were getting the betrayal explained, quote unquote, to us.
Mm-hmm.
Any other highlights?
Not going quietly into the night. That's it for me, thanks.
Fair. Cool. Ollie, do you have any highlights for that session?
So I think it's when we did the speech, everyone in turn said, "We are with you." So we are with you, I suppose. I just thought it was quite nice.
Is this when everyone was joining your, like, let's not just die suicidally?
Yeah. Shank the planet.
that ship plowing. I was thinking, like, is this dumb? I'm just gonna have him roll for it, and if it doesn't happen, that's probably fine. It'll be less jarring. And then you rolled under. It was like, all right, cool. The dice have decided. Fuck it. We're gonna ram the ship into the other side.
I did wonder if that was going to happen. I was there, like, well, planets tend to be circular or spherical, I suppose, and it's going in a straight line so far.
It doesn't really line up with anything I'd said about the planet at that point, and it's astronomically unlikely, but I think Rule of Cool really beat the shit out of my sense of realism on that one. Not to mention the fact that it plowed across the entire planet, but then hit the other side of the shield, and that finally slowed it down. I guess the reactor gave out at a strategically convenient moment. Cool. Anything else?
Just an excellent first session. I just had a lot of fun. So I just want to put that down as a highlight for me.
Thank you, appreciate it. Technically, this is the last session of the previous campaign because it's the post-campaign time skip thing. I'll put last/first session. Anything else?
I don't know, rallying the troops? I don't know, it's not something I've done before, but it's quite fun. Not on that scale.
I think it was a fun demonstration of it. And like a fun scenario to put you all in as well. Like, here's a hopeless meat grinder, and also you're being kind of sabotaged. What do?
Hang out with a pin flag and honor.
Yeah, man.
And more gold gems to stick on our armour.
I very much thought this campaign was going to be do you turn traitor or follow suicidal
I thought it was going to go that way, yeah.
Would be a bit of a pitch of like, okay, now we're back to vanilla timeline. The Second Legion's going to get purged from all records. Why? Because they go rogue after being forcibly almost destroyed. This is now an independent Space Marine campaign. Go find a kingdom. Have fun with that. The Emperor's going to come for you someday. But no, narrowly averted. Any other highlights, Ollie?
Nothing for me.
Cool. Creed, do you have any highlights for that session?
Meep.
Meep?
Meep? Was that me? I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Meat for the meat god.
This world hates you.
Fair. Anything else?
And assisted by Nick's intelligence.
Oh boy. Anything else?
I think that was it for me.
Cool. And then last but not least, Benji, do you have any highlights for that session?
The all-consuming murder wave.
That was a pretty great murder wave.
Oh man.
Creed the Kill Stealer.
I wanted to go into more detail there, but I was like, fuck, timeline-wise, we're going to do a whole dramatic thing here. I can make it, I can squeak it in. I did not make it, I did not squeak it in. But if I'd had time, we would have done more with the Eldar leader. Anything else?
Better ship name.
Yeah, I was listening back to the recording yesterday, I think, and it got to that point, it's like, oh, fuck. It says the price of defiance in big gold letters right over the door to the bridge. Because it'd be kind of like a little bit edgy, a little bit tropey if we just came up with it independently. But now that it's got a backstory... anything else?
Sorry. I know it's myself, but I accidentally went full Stalin.
You literally quoted Stalin.
I did, yeah, but by that point I was just playing into it. It was before that where I accidentally went full Stalin.
Sorry, just a small note that I've only just realised that the Price of Defiance is the name for the new Legion flagship and Legion Master ship. Actually really works.
Oh god, it really does.
Fucking
I hate
in context,
it.
right? Like, holy shit.
Oh god, it's
Especially
it's
with...
like...
Sorry.
No.
Especially with, like, keeping the first Grand Company at, like, unoccupied, because you're not allowed to talk about this, but having it not occupied prevents this from actually being completely buried, because there's always that question of why is that there, which means that you build it into, like, your company structure that there is a deeper something happened. I really like how a lot of that jives together well.
Could I make not a request, but like maybe a suggestion then for our future for our future chapter activities? It was we're worryingly data hoarders. We don't want anything to go missing, perhaps. So or maybe we keep a lot of surveillance, something like something to keep our innocence proven if we ever need to in the future. Or something like dead man switches, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think this was, if I remember correctly, built into your gen, right? And the idea was that we had like pre and post Legion betrayal Legion personalities. And that after the betrayal, you get a lot more like that. But that because we've been before it and we wanted to do the like your gene seed and the way you act dictates how your gene seed makes other people act stuff for the first, we'll still keep doing that, but at least initially. That means that we've given you like a blank slate, and now that's going to be like, oh, your Legion's been through this collective moment of culture shock. So yeah, we can definitely do that. Obviously the like cams on the body cams for the armour is still a no. Doylean reason, Watsonian reason being that it was making the Imperium look bad, and the Doylean reason being that it reduces like a lot of narrative problems for me if things you do are recorded and people want to keep secret activities. But other than that, we can have like ample documentation.
Yeah.
And obviously like signing up for the what's this thingy? Begins with R. Remembrances. Signing up for the remembrances when they get sent out again. Cool. Benji, any other highlights?
I think that's everything.
Cool. I've got one. I'm going to put it in all caps and be real dumb. The betrayal at Moribund. I'm so happy. I think I was really... I loved everyone's everything this session, really. And getting to work in so many out of... Like, I've had that noted down in my campaign notes as the betrayal at Moribund for the longest time, and now I get to actually use it in universe. I'm so happy with that. It was initially going to be like a full 10-session minicamp thing as well, but after the last couple of time skips went so well and so fun, and it allowed us to like move forwards narratively and chronologically, I figured, let's make it a time skip. We don't need to like actually take you through 2.5 months of gameplay and then yank it out from under your feet. Cool. I think we otherwise got everything. Does anyone have... thank you all for a very entertaining session number 26. Does anyone have any final words for the recording?
We shall not go gently into that good night.